like a minute.
I almost followed.
Oh shit, yeah.
Amazing.
Also, I'll go ahead and unmute us manually then. And we're here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to episode 2 of The Reclaimers. I'm going to kick it off real fast. For those of you who are new here, there seems to be quite a few of you who are new here. Let's tell everybody who we are, who we're playing, and what your favorite flavor of pudding is. Start with Noir. Noir, go ahead.
That's racist. Hi, everybody. I go by eBay. I'm playing Virgil today. And my favorite type of pudding is tapioca.
Ooh.
Oh.
Fancy.
Controversial.
Sarah?
Hi, hello. I am Sarah Franco. My pronouns are she, her. I am playing Etienne Durand. And he's here to do stuff, I guess. My favorite flavor of pudding. Listen, you know it's gonna be chocolate. Come on.
I don't like the way you said that all
on.
slow.
Listen, like some Chucky pudding.
Okay, Ash, save us.
Okay, sure. Hey, I'm Ash. I go by Ash and Rabbit here on Twitch and all over the internet. My pronouns are she, her. I am playing Yvain Nui today and forever on this wonderful show. My favorite pudding flavor is, the chocolate with the swirly vanilla in the middle.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
shit.
Oh, you like that interracial pudding.
Yeet.
You like that swirl.
And we'll jump up to Josh before we get me.
Hi, I'm Josh. You can't find me anywhere. Don't try to find me. I'm one of those he hims. And I can't remember the last time I actually had pudding, and I don't remember enjoying it if I did have it. So I think my answer is none.
You
Back
asked
to you,
a bad
Bright.
question, Bright.
Yeah, this question sucks.
Sorry, everybody. I failed. We'll see you next time.
I don't even know what the fuck a tapioca is.
I love tapioca
Oh my God.
pudding.
This shit is real good.
And you know
It was
me.
Danielle, what's her name on Boy Meets World?
God damn it.
Topanga. What?
Topanga.
I'll tell you what, I would have ate her.
I would have eaten Topanga pudding too. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh god.
Hi everybody, my name is Bright. I go with the pronouns he, they, and I like Topanga pudding.
Oh
Oh
no.
god.
I like that
no.
ambiguous.
I mean,
is she
was
white?
so
Is
fine.
she something else? Is she? I like that caramel. That salted caramel. Anyway,
Eject.
why don't we let Josh just save me from myself and take us into what we're doing today, Josh?
Sure, yeah. So I almost said last week, but it was a month ago. That's my fault. Sorry, I had to take a pilgrimage to the Temple of Lincoln there, and make the offerings to the Great Emancipator. It was neat. But we're back. So last time you guys started off in Eudaimon, the last city. You were all very excited to become reclaimers. You got your marching orders. You made some interesting requests of the quartermaster, uh, including a giant golden automaton that's now named Chris, but as I recall, isn't spelled the way you would expect it to be.
It's spelled Chris.
Spelled.
It's just spelled Justin.
In the
Chris.
traditional
That's right,
sense,
right,
yeah,
sure,
the old
yes.
English.
Yeah, the Gaelic spelling.
Mhm.
And then you guys set out, and you had heard all your lives that everything beyond the city was a hellish wasteland, but thus far it's been green grass and blue skies, and there have been some trees and nice breeze. It's all been kind of sort of pleasant, and you went on for a full day, and you made camp, and you stayed overnight, and you left on the day of rising. It is now early on the day of zenith, which, as a reminder, means the sun is now in the middle of the sky, because days are super long here in Ismany. You guys are just setting off on the second day of your journey, the first that begins outside of the city. And we're going to start with one little note that I'm going to use my DM's prerogative to insert here, is that Yvain, you have studied the map a little bit this morning, and you have come to a realization, which is that looking at where you're going, where you've gone so far, and the road you're on, which you've found is on the map, is kind of hard to ferry out because the map is more sort of artistic and metaphorical than it is really geographical. But you were able to pick out the road, and you realize that the road will eventually get you in the direction you're going, but it's kind of circuitous. And the alternative would be you could take a more direct route if you just walked overland. And looking around, it looks pretty level, even terrain. So it doesn't look like it would be that much of a trying journey. You estimate that it would take about a day overland to reach the border of the Saltlands, and that it might take a day and a half, maybe 2 days, if you followed the road. So that information, go.
Okay. As everyone is waking on this extremely bright morning, Yvain's sitting there with this map, kind of studying it, and she has a separate piece of paper that she's jotting down notes on, and whoever is the first to kind of catch her eye, she'll just kind of wave them over. Who comes over?
Oh, I should mention that Keening has been perched on your shoulder looking at the map this whole time.
Excellent.
I'll say Virgil looks over.
Virgil, can you come look at this? I need a second set of eyes. Keening doesn't count. Sorry, Keening.
All right.
She ruffles her feather in indignation. Feathers.
I mean, of course you count, but it's more of like another person. It's a
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, as I get closer, continue your fight with your bird. That's
Sorry.
completely normal.
Sorry. So there's the option of continuing the path the way that we're going.
Okay.
It'll take us longer if we go this way. We can go over, like straight through, and get there faster.
Well, that seems to be a fine idea, unless you know of any sort of, I don't know, hazards, dangers that would make that a less appealing option.
Considering we're not in the city, everything is a hazard.
A manageable hazard, then. Most things in the city are manageable. Since we're out of the city, I'd imagine there'd be some things that aren't, but I wouldn't say that there are many. I mean, we seem to be rather capable individuals.
Right. Okay. Well, I just wanted someone else's opinion on this.
Let's
didn't
go
want
the
to-
faster way.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Just like that, we make a decision. We're a good team.
Right. Wonderful. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yes. So, I will get Chris reared up and ready to go. And I suppose we should inform the others.
Likely.
As a
yes.
reminder, Chris responds to your verbal commands.
Wake up, Chris. It's time for us to go. And all the rest of you, we've chosen a new direction. It's faster.
You have a heading then.
Or less. Yes.
Well, I
On by me.
suppose if we're taking a shortcut, then I'd trust the bird with the bird.
Did you just call Yvain a bird?
It's a turn of phrase. It's a colloquialism.
So you've
No,
never seen
that's
you've
it.
never seen a bird facepalm before, but now you have, as Keening puts a wing in front of her face.
I mean, I didn't mean it as a jibe. It's just an idiom. If anything, it's a compliment. I mean, look at Caning. It's a glorious bird.
Right. Just, Chris, we have a new heading, so let's be on the way then, and I'll give him the directions. Simple direction.
I say, what specifically do you say to Chris? Because thus far there has been no reaction to anything you've said. He just stood there with hands on the front of the cart, just exactly where he was when you
After I-
stopped.
Get in comfortable. I'll say,
For the
You know, I
record,
really
he's currently facing toward the road, and the route that Yvain has shown you you'd want to just like turn directly to your right. That's what you want to do.
turn directly to the right.
Chris turns like maybe 5 degrees to the right and then stops.
Do more. Do more of that. Do more right. Turn more right, Chris.
Chris goes maybe 10 degrees more.
Okay, you're going to keep going right until I tell you to stop.
Okay. Chris keeps going right. One big plodding step at a time.
And
You
what
tell me when he's going to stop.
like right when we're in the direction that we need to go. Stop, Chris.
Okay, stops.
Now, onward, forward.
Chris starts walking forward.
Perfect. As
Nice
fast
walking
as you
pace.
can.
Do you think it's interesting that Chris
Chris
takes
accelerates to a blistering 3-ish miles an hour.
I find it interesting that
God.
Chris takes
Holy
direction from you
fuck.
whether you say his name or not. Do you think he's always listening? Do you think he's sentient?
At some point when we have time, I think it would behoove me to learn more about Chris in the way that they operate and perhaps see if I might find a way to improve our companion. But until such time, we will...
Are you open to some suggestions?
What suggestions might you have, my friend?
It seems you're is a bit literal. Perhaps you could instruct with degrees and distances rather than just go and turn. Just a suggestion.
I will take that into consideration.
It's a big compliment. He doesn't take things under consideration very often.
So who all is riding in the cart? Who's walking beside Chris? Everybody in the cart?
Etienne would be walking.
Yeah, Cass will say in his little like makeshift hammock in the canvas top.
And Yvain?
I think this morning Yvain will be on the cart and skimming through her book, but eventually we'll likely start walking too.
Okay. So it's pretty uneventful as you're going along. Again, the countryside continues to be lovely. Strong winds, blowing with it the smell of flowers, and you can see big fields of bright flowers off in either direction. There are occasional large copses of trees, and you can see the road kind of winding off away from you guys, and eventually you can't see it any longer. But it's picturesque, lovely country, and I imagine it's a bit strange for most of you, because none of you have been outside the city anymore. Yvain possibly might have had some interactions with nature because of her training. But for the rest of you, all you've ever known is the city. So a situation that's all five of us, I can count. One of you doesn't count, and you're going to have to guess which one.
Oh, no.
Spoiler alert, it's Chris.
Wait.
But so what might seem like a perfect picturesque experience to all of us, to your characters, might be still a little strange and unnerving because it's very much out of your experience. But it's also at the same point not at all what you've been told to expect. I mean, you were expecting like just marshes and swamps and bone-dry deserts overrun with horrible monsters and people driven to total madness. I mean, you were expecting some Mad Max stuff, and instead you've basically gotten the Shire. So it's a bit of a trip.
I have to say that this is a rather nice surprise.
I was just thinking that. This trip seemed curious in that we were told to be extremely cautious.
I simply don't understand why we would be told to expect one thing only to encounter another for ourselves.
I guess in the
Things
interest
aren't
of
what-
fairness. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're all right. Things aren't always what they seem.
In the interest of fairness,
Yes.
we've only been here for like 30 hours.
And I've seen plots of land that could house many of the people that I grew up with.
It doesn't take much to change a cool breeze for a cutting wind. Keep that in
Valid.
mind.
True words.
Let's
Let me
aim
get
to
a
this
nature
done.
check from everybody real quick.
Uh-oh.
Rolling dice in a dice game. Bow, bow, bow.
Got an 18.
I got a 4.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Nice.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, I got a 19.
Okay. So everyone except for Etienne, my favorite himbo. All the rest of you know, and for the record, this was a 15. All the rest of you know that on green fields and verdant lands like this, you can actually grow food. Isn't how things work in the city, but it sort of puts emphasis onto Virgil's point that people could definitely live out here, it seems like. I mean, they could grow food, they could raise animals, they could do all sorts of normal things. Etienne has no idea.
I want to... do I hear or see, as we're moving through this like forested area off like the main beaten path, are there any like...
And it's still mostly fields, to be clear. There's just occasional trees. It's mostly like grassland.
Are there any bugs or other fauna, birds, anything around?
I will give you a perception for that.
Yeah. Dirty 20 again.
Yeah, so you, about maybe halfway through the morning, you spot a couple of, well, I'm actually going to need a nature check.
Oh.
You spot some kind of creature in the distance about midway through the morning.
Where's nature? Boom. 16.
16. Okay. It is a four-legged furry creature with a little bushy tail and some big scary looking protrusions coming from its head, and you have no idea what this thing is. But there's 3 of them in the distance, and they seem to be looking right at you guys.
How big?
Hard to say at a distance, but you can see it, and it's pretty close to the horizon, so it seems pretty big.
Okay. Clearly we know what horses are, right? We asked for those earlier.
Yes, you know what horses
How
are.
close to a horse is this?
It's similar, but much slimmer in build, especially 2 of the 3. But
Sure.
the big one in the front, that has the biggest things on its head, is real muscly and
Okay.
scary looking.
Okay. I'm gonna assume that they're more afraid of us than we are of them.
Okay.
Because they're horses. Like what? They're just antlered horses, and things out here are supposed to be weird.
So is Yvain has she been
That's
studying
interesting.
her book this morning?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd actually like to tell Yvain about them. Yvain, you know quite a bit about what's out here, do you?
A bit.
What kind of horses are those?
So you know very clearly that those are deer, and the front is a stag with a very, very impressive set of antlers staring you all down. The other 2 are smaller, so you guess perhaps that one might be a female, one might be a juvenile.
Hmm.
Hard to say at a distance. But yeah, you know exactly what these are.
Those are absolutely not horses, darling. Those are deer. One of them has large antlers because it's the male of the group, the older male. Some younglings with it.
Can you ride them? I mean, you said they're not horses, but they look like horses. Well, except for the trees growing out of their faces.
And I'll actually give Cass a history check here.
Oh no.
With advantage.
Oh. Let's see if I can beat 21. I can't. 21.
21. Okay. So you recall that there are elven legends about great warriors who rode mighty deer into battle. You didn't put them together until she gave you the word deer, but now you recall that.
Did they have a name? These stag riders of
Not
legend?
that you know of. Not that you know of. But yes, you do know that there were people who were able to ride these deer.
How hard would it be, you think, to get one of those domesticated? Are they willful beasts, or...
I am not 100% sure. Perhaps. But considering they likely don't see many of our kind bipedal folk frequently, it might be a bit of a shock to them.
Probably best to leave well enough alone then, eh? Magnificent
For now.
creatures. What did you call them again? Deer?
Deer, yes. The one with the large antlers, that's a stag.
Oh, I like that name.
Hmm.
Stag horses.
Did you know that they get rid of their antlers?
They get rid of them.
They'd regrow.
Where do they store them?
They break off. They
That's horrific. What
have
happens
to.
to them?
It's painful. They get too heavy. So they have to brush up against a tree to quite break
yeah.
them off.
I guess that makes sense. If I had those things on my head, I'd get pretty tired of lifting me.
So
The arms around.
I mean,
Virgil, don't you think this is fascinating? The
I would
first
very
creatures
much-
we've seen.
I would very much like to have already snuck out of the cart if I could.
Sneak out of the cart.
Yes.
I mean,
And-
yeah,
What?
you're the stealthy one. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to sneak my way to the deer, please.
Toward the deer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Majestic creatures off in the distance that absolutely no one has harmed or seen in who knows how long.
I
So-
rolled a 23.
Right, but you're going to roll this stealth with disadvantage because you've never been in the wilderness before.
That's fair. One second, I have to ban somebody. Okay. Here we go. That's a 15.
That's not bad. Okay. They don't seem to see you. They're a ways away, but you can approach them as the cart keeps going.
I would like to do an animal handling check, please, to see if I can just get them to come near me. I've got
Okay.
grapes and seeds and jerky.
Okay, so to be clear, they were like, I don't know, 300 yards away from the cart. So
Okay.
you're gonna have to get pretty close before you can try to lure them over with. So you're gonna keep approaching them.
I'm gonna do something stupid.
Suffice to say.
I'm going to use my minor illusion, which I believe has a pretty decent range.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
To make a deer that looks like them heading towards me.
Okay.
I want to see if it gets them to follow suit.
What?
You gave me deer.
Describe the deer that you have created.
It's an exact copy of what I'm seeing.
Which of the ones you're seeing?
The one with the wood in its face.
Okay.
Oh, the stag. You fool.
Yeah.
So the stag sees the one you have created, and it starts bellowing and stamping on the ground.
Oh, that must be a good thing. He's excited.
And then does so louder and more forcefully.
I'm
Do you
gonna
make-
have mine do the same thing.
Okay.
Oh no.
At this point,
Rip.
the stag charges your
Oh,
illusion
it worked.
and lowers its head and tries to run right into your illusory stag, going straight through. Now, where were you positioned in relation to this illusion?
I will need to move. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, give me acrobatics.
This might have backfired on you, boy. Oh no, I'm agile as fuck. That's a 26.
Okay, you easily leap out of the way, and the stag barrels past, looks terribly confused, looks back at the now obviously elusive. Even a deer can tell that this stag is fake. Then it looks at you,
Handful of jerky, seeds, and grapes.
stamps its feet, lowers its head, looks at you again, and then just turns and bolts and runs away. Very fast, and gets the others, and they very quickly are zipping away, way too quick for you to follow. And thus ends your encounter with the great outdoors.
Back at the cart. Oh, did you see that, Yvain? There's another one. Oh, ooh. Oh.
Yes.
Also,
Oh.
when you jumped out of the way, your hand landed in something gooey and warm. Now this you've seen lots of in your
Oh,
time in
this
the
is
city.
shit.
Although you've never seen night soil quite of this consistency. But it has all the qualities you've come to know and love.
Ugh,
Smells bad,
that's
sticky,
unpleasant.
it's gross.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take out one of my mini water skins full of wine and just clean my hands.
But I'm
Next
gonna
time.
guess that eventually you get your way, catch back up to the cart. Might have to jog a little to make up with Chris because you didn't tell him to stop, so he's not
Yeah,
stopping.
no, that's fine. That's fine. But next time we encounter deer, I know what their purpose is. It's meat.
So we've reached about midday now, and what's your guys' plans as far as provisions? You gonna eat on the road? You gonna stop? What's the plan?
I'm eating on the go. I got lots of handy snacks. Specifically for this purpose.
Do you think at the pace we're going, we'll be back before nightfall?
I can't make.
Now,
Chris won't go
real
any
quick, when you say
faster.
nightfall, that can mean two different things. Well, do you mean when the sun goes down,
Yeah.
or do you mean at the end of the day?
No.
Because usually people would say sundown.
No. Oh, does the sun go down every? No, because you said the sun stays up every 72 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
The day of rising.
So when I
the day
say
of
nightfall,
zenith,
I mean when the
zenith.
sun goes down.
Yeah, and then so it would be a whole nother day from now, a day and a half from now. Yeah.
Right.
Right. The day of setting ends when the sun goes below the horizon.
No. Yeah, I'm looking for when the zombie eyes turn red. You know, that's.
Oh, you're playing by Minecraft rules. I got you.
Yeah.
And so Yvain's prediction was that it would take a day to reach the Saltlands. And based on the map, she thought maybe 3 or 4 more days to reach the gardens where you're going. So one way or another, you're going to be out during the days of dark.
Yeah. I think I'm just laying in the cart that Chris is carrying, and I'm just getting comfortable. I might take a cat nap every now and then.
Etienne's just keeping pace, probably like 5-ish feet in front of and like to the side of Chris. Just keeping track of the horizon.
Okay. What's everyone else doing as the day continues to pass?
Eventually, Yvain will set her book aside and join Etienne walking outside of the cart.
And Cass,
I mean,
sleep on his hammock?
yeah, it's been real nice. So I think he'd just be like, maybe he'd like pivot so that his like legs are dangled over the first metal rung that holds the canvas top up and like lean
Mhm.
into it, kind of like one of those, what do they call them? Those chairs made of wicker that have the cushions on the inside or something. Like he would just be sitting in it like a weird
patio
monk.
chair.
Yeah, it starts with a P. It's like Papazon chair.
Yeah, Papazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. Like he would just be lounging. It's like it's a nice day out. It's sunny. Everything's been calm. The worst thing they've seen have been devil horses, and like he's just gonna chill. He's feeling it. He might be playing his flute on top of the cart like lightly.
Okay. So about mid-afternoon, yeah, Etienne won't see this. I'm sorry, your perception is low.
It's okay. I know who I was when I walked in.
What do you see with your special eyes?
My brain.
Oh, but Yvain will spot a marker, just a little wooden marker on top of a pile of stones, maybe 20 yards ahead of the cart.
Okay. Does the marker look distinct at all from this distance?
From this distance, it's 2 pieces of wood in a cross, cross right in the middle, and just a pile of stones holding it up, and nothing special as far as you can tell from this distance.
Okay.
But it's certainly not a natural formation.
No, not at all.
It looks like if Chris keeps walking, he'll step on it.
Yeah. We might need to slow up very quickly. Something up ahead. Might need to go inspect it really quick.
Chris Holt.
Chris stops very abruptly.
Sorry.
Etienne puts up a hand to Virgil, who's probably like waking up, and will turn to Yvain and like nod towards the pile for us to go take a closer look. He will draw his sword, just in case.
Sure.
Oh, is there
What
violence to be
are
done?
Cass and Virgil doing?
Virgil's just gonna ask Etienne, is there violence to be done?
Uncertain. There seems to be something to take a gander at.
Oh. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to scout ahead and see if there's any certainty to what needs to be done.
Etienne's just standing there, sword out, looks at Yvain and back at Virgil.
Can I pull that Batman thing where you go to look back at Virgil, he's going?
Amazing. Yes, please do. Because 100%,
Yes, you
100% Etienne
absolutely
wouldn't
can,
see it.
yeah.
That's a 18 for stealth. I'm just stealthing up ahead to see.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gone. You just poof. You're going away. So who's going up to look at the marker?
I am.
Oh, okay, you're going right up to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intending to move up, but if he wants to be all sneaky, we'll let him do his thing.
Oh, he's just scouting. Like it's clear he's used to scouting ahead, but he'd gladly, make himself known to you, like "Tss, over here."
Okay.
Cass is
I
just
shall
craning his
follow.
neck, trying to see what's going on, and he like climbs up to Chris's shoulders so that he can see past it, but he doesn't go down to look at it.
Okay.
Etienne will, seeing that turning back to see Virgil is gone, he'll kind of stay put near the cart.
Okay. So you come up close to the marker, and it's just 2 pieces of wood. But into these pieces of wood, where they meet, the symbol has been drawn, and there's lettering carved around it, running in a circle. And everybody else is going to have to make, I guess it would be either, it could be Arcana, it could be History. Both of them is better. Virgil doesn't have to roll.
Oh, is it these kids?
It's not Thieves' Cans.
Oh.
Arcana or history, you said?
Yeah, although you're not up there, so I guess it's really just
Okay,
a
cool.
vein.
Perfect.
Natural 20 for 22.
All right,
Better than me.
all right.
No, just kidding.
Ash, was that history or Arcana?
History. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, so you two recognize this, the symbol in the center, which is a 5-pointed star inscribed inside of a circle. You recognize it as the symbol of the Beckoners, which is a cult, as they're usually portrayed, who believe that the wisdoms are usurpers of the true power in the worlds. They always speak of the worlds in plural, never just about the world of Ismene. And they believe that there is a once and future ruler of the worlds called the Archon. Used to be in charge of everything. At some point, she stopped being in charge, and that's when everything went to hell. And at some point, she will return. They take their name because they are trying to beckon her to return. And when she does, she will right everything that is wrong in the worlds, reestablish her dominion, and those who have served her in her absence will be rewarded. Those who stood against her will be destroyed, etc. And this is their symbol. You might have seen it in the city. There are fairly numerous Beckoner sects within the city. They face pretty stiff persecution. So there's plenty of secret Beckoners who sort of, keep the faith to themselves and don't talk about it. Try not to get on anyone's radar, because it's a pretty good way to get onto a wisdom shit list is to have that symbol anywhere near you. The writing, none of you can read. The 2 of you cannot read this letter. I'll just say that. And I'll also say that Keening is on your shoulder.
Okay.
Ah. So it seems that the Beckoners have made their way out here.
Mm-hmm. Weird to see it out here? Who else comes out here but reclaimers?
Good question. What do you know of the Beckoners?
I feel like it's fairly common knowledge. They're primarily there to try and bring their one true ruler back, who left and they believe will return. That the wisdoms are not here on good terms. Keening, the writing on there, can't quite make it out. Would you be able to decipher that for us?
She says, it's not easy. These people are clearly not native Drax speakers.
Drax.
Penmanship is atrocious. Fortunately, the phrase is an easy one. The worlds are hers. And anyone who was initiated into the Beckoner rites, anyone here who might be, that might fit that bill, would know that phrase. It's you know.
Yeah, that's our slogan. We
That's,
spit that every now and then.
I mean, it's spoken like a benediction. I mean, that's sort of like, I mean, it's a phrase, you know. It's like how on Easter everyone says, you know, he is risen to each other. I mean, it's that kind of a phrase. It's important.
Okay.
And so Keening says all of this with just dripping with derision.
Is there like a
very
callback to it, like you know how like it, like, oh god, I can't think of anything now. My brain went dead. But like, you know how in church some people were like, "Won't he do it?" And the callback is, "Yes, he will." Like, it's like, is there a callback to that?
Oh, is there an answer and response?
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, not for this particular phrase. It's
Okay.
you know, I mean, people would say like the worlds are hers. Actually, no, I'm gonna change my mind on that. The way it goes is that the first person says the worlds are hers, and then the response is the worlds were hers, and then the response back is and the worlds will be hers again.
Okay, I think. Can I hear Keening?
Yeah, she's talking out loud. Yeah.
I think the moment she says the worlds are hers, without even thinking about it, Virgil goes, "The worlds were hers." Then it's.
Now, Yvain, I don't think has ever heard that phrase before.
Probably not.
But Keening immediately just and is now staring right at you, burning a hole through you, just.
I shall see if there's anyone around. This symbol can't have put itself here. We should
Right.
make sure that we don't wander into any unwanted territory.
Okay.
And I'd like to do a perception check to see if I can scope anybody before they scope us. And
Okay.
also to get away from this awkward moment.
Yeah, because Keening is still staring at you.
Yep. Yeah. Stared down by a bird. All right, here we go. Perception. Yeet. That'll be 18.
Okay, so we're still in grasslands, but up ahead of you guys is the beginnings of pretty thick forest. And right at the edge there, you think you see something. It's hard to tell, but there's something maybe stuck to a tree. It's hard to say what it is at a distance. But it's certainly not tree colored.
I'm gonna make my way to that tree.
Okay. That's
I-
maybe 200
will-
yards off.
Yeah, I will tell Yvain, like, I think I see something. I'm going to go and investigate. I'll be sure to make as much noise as possible if I need help.
Please do.
And with that, they go off.
Okay, so you're going to go off. We'll get to that in a second. Yvain, back at the marker, are you doing anything with the sticks in the wood? Or that's the same thing, the wood and the rocks.
This kind of resembles something that I feel like she might be slightly aware of in former times, where this might be like a burial mound kind of a thing. So she might be, trying to pick up loose rocks up at the top and see if there's anything actually buried inside this pile of rubble, or if it's just, a place where a couple sticks with a message on it have been inserted into.
Okay. Yeah, and that is a good thought. You definitely recognize the possibility that this could be some kind of memorial. No one's buried in New Diamond, but as part of your training, you study sort of the history of different kinds of funerary practices, and cairns are definitely something you're aware of. This looks a little small, maybe that, but so just sort of picking the rocks away, just seems to be more rocks. On your shoulder still, Keening is just kind of mumbling to herself in a language that you don't know, which is not unusual for her. She does not sound happy.
What is it now?
She takes a deep breath, and she says, "These fools have no idea what they're beckoning."
What do you mean by that?
Great ruler they think to awaken. I was there when she was in charge.
Seriously?
Oh, I
mean, I'm not too surprised by that, considering you've been around for a long time, but that was ages ago. Again, still not surprised, just putting the pieces together there.
That is the nature of a stasis chamber.
Guess that's true.
No one can say how long I was in there. Suffice it to say, if that bitch is still around, the last thing you want is her waking up. And then she says something, again, in the language you don't speak. But this all sounds like it's been the same language. And based on the cadence, it definitely sounds like a curse or an invective of some kind.
Got it.
And then she kind of flies forward and sort of kicks the sticks and knocks them over. And then flies back onto your shoulder.
Disrespectful little motherfucker.
God, it's really bothering you that much, isn't it?
She took away from me the only things I ever cared about.
Are you going to remain enigmatic about that, or actually delve into the Keening lore a bit?
What's the point in discussing that which is long gone?
Conversation, so I could understand you better, perhaps?
I'll give you a diplomacy there. Or is it, it's called persuasion now, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Y'all know what I mean.
But in Pathfinder... No, okay. I'm sorry.
Surprise! We're playing 3.5 now.
I want it.
Beckoner for
I need
Pathfinder
it.
second ed.
I got a 19 with persuasion / diplomacy there.
Diplomacy. Okay.
Yeah.
So Keening says, I knew the worlds at their apex. I knew the worlds at their glory. When the Archons ruled over all the daughters of Asherah, and all their many people knew plenty. And I was privileged to serve at the side of a good man. And then she took it all away. And at this, Keening looks away from me. First time you have ever seen Keening sheds a tear. I don't know if birds can cry. I don't care. This one does.
Darling, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause harm with that at all. really.
She says you couldn't know.
Right. Still doesn't make me feel any less worse for bringing it up, but now I understand you better. Now this cements the words that you say. Of course, they're always cemented up here, but they have weight now.
She says something, again, in the language that you don't speak. And then she says in common, so presumably the translation, that a story deprived of light will fester and die. They need to be aired. That was one of the things he taught me. I suppose it's only right I pass the lesson along.
Thank you. I'm sorry it came at the expense of everything.
Well, it was a long time ago. I suppose I shouldn't be dwelling on the distant past.
Hopefully there's something for you to cling to in the present.
She does kind of squeeze a little tighter on your shoulders when I say that. She says, yes, hopefully indeed.
Hopefully indeed.
Suffice it to say, if there, this is just suffice to say, if there are any beckoners waiting ahead of us, don't believe a damn thing they say.
Right. Thank you.
Cass, did you see where Virgil went? Cass? Hello?
Can I see where Virgil is from up here?
You can roll a perception.
Oh boy, can I?
You just gotta beat my stealth score of 24.
I did not. I rolled a 12.
I am the knight.
You don't see shit.
I'm afraid I've lost him, Yvain. He's setting par for the course. He's a very slippery one.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Slippery indeed.
Sorry, I know better, and I dropped the ball. Shall I go look for him?
All right,
Also-
real quick. Is there? Oh, no, it's right. Yeah, okay, yeah. Keening leans over and in perfect druidic speaks into Yvain's ear and says, if you'd like to, if you avail yourself of some etheric sight, you can track him quite easily. That pen he stole is marked.
Ooh.
And she points as if she can see right where he is. And following the line of where she's pointing, you can make a perception.
I will do that. Wholeheartedly, yes. Aw, man, I have a +8, but I only got a 13.
Okay, so now you don't see him. Now, when she says etheric sight, you can put together, because she often talks about spells and stuff, but she almost never uses the proper names for them. She seems to have her own name for every spell.
Mm-hmm.
But you can put together that probably means detect magic.
Oh, okay. Which I'm pretty sure I have. If I don't, then the fuck is wrong with me? Hello?
That's a good question.
Why do I have some that are doubled? I'm gonna have to double check that. Some of these are like in triplicate. That's weird. I would have not had that. Yeah, there it is. Hey, detect magic. Yep, I would absolutely do that.
Okay. As soon as you do, you can spot him because there is in his pocket just a bright, glowing, like it's like bright, glowing gold.
Okay.
Also, I just assumed that this pen was still in Virgil's pocket, and I'm just going to decide that it is, but I realized I didn't actually ask if it was there, but
It's fine.
yeah. I mean, it's a nice pen, you know.
I mean, you never know when you need to stab somebody.
Never know.
They always underestimate the penknife.
3 men
pen
with a
is-
pen.
pen can be mightier than the sword because it's also a sword.
You also notice that when the pen is glowing, it's glowing and kind of almost flashing. Makes 3 sort of fast flashes, and then 2 slow flashes, and 3 fast flashes. It just keeps doing that over and over and over.
Okay. Virgil. Hey. Virgil.
What?
The fuck are you
What?
doing?
There's something on the tree here.
Okay, great.
So to back up real quick, so you while all this kind of happening, you were sneaking forward. So by now you've gotten to the tree line, and what's in front of you is now quite obvious up close. It's a body. It's a dead body that has mostly rotted away, and it has all its clothes have been taken off, and it has been it's been staked up to the tree. Its lower bits have been removed, as have its eyes have been plucked out.
You went out rough, buddy.
Its hands are resting before it, and those bits that have been removed have been placed in the hands.
Oh.
And in the chest, a beckoner circle has been carved.
I mean, that's
No
how
writing on this stiff, but
Yeah, that's how we get down. we do.
you don't even need a check to understand it. This is a pretty clear,
Yeah.
message. This is
Yeah, this is our turf.
Yeah.
Don't F around, or else you will find out. It's cool.
and I'll give you a perception right now,
Okie dokie. I'm actually gonna roll physical.
and I'm going to give you advantage on this one
Oh,
because it
I'm
relates
ready.
not to thieves' cant, but to thiefy stuff.
So that is gonna be a 27.
Okay. You spot a tripwire. So there's like dense bits of trees, and there's a bit that's a little more open and obvious to go through. There's a tripwire across it.
We're not fucking around here. I see.
The weird thing is, as far as you can tell, it's just strung between 2 trees. Like you can go to either side, and there's not like a switch or a mechanism or like a dart trap or some crazy thing. Like as far as you can tell, it's just a really small like fishing line stuck between 2 trees. It's low, so if you're walking, you'd almost certainly catch it.
All right. Well, I have my thieves kit. I am going to disengage this trap.
Okay. Give me that roll.
All right. So it's basically son of hand. That's not great. That's an 11.
You are able to determine that it is literally just a little bit of fishing line stuck into 2 trees, and it's literally just tacked in at either end. So you could just like stick in a dagger or pen, just like a sword, and just kind of, it would come right out.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna do just that. I'm just gonna cut it with my dagger.
Okay. And when you do, there is a very loud but distant shriek coming from inside the woods.
Lovely.
And all of you back at the cart hear this.
What was the sound?
The shriek.
Ah.
It's not clear if it's animal, human, poltergeist, but it's very high pitched and shrill, and it's like echoing across the landscape coming from the trees. It lasts for like a second or 2, and then it's gone.
That sounds almost like Virgil's shriek. We should-
Etienne. Oh, go for it.
No, we should investigate that. That sounds something awful, perhaps.
Yeah. Before, like, as Casimir's like, the second he said that sounds like Virgil, like Etienne with his sword drawn is already marching straight line toward the sound, moving as quickly as he can through the grass.
With the last few precious seconds I have before my party gets here, Virgil's going to unbutton his shirt and show the tattoo of the Reclaimer on his chest. of the beckoners on his chest and go, "The world was hers. The world is hers. The world was hers. I am of your number. Stop."
Okay. So now Chris has been left alone. So Keening turns back and barks in a language that none of you speak, although you can understand when she says Chris. And Chris starts moving very quickly up to the forest edge, faster than he's gone before, and stops right at the forest's edge. So he gets there almost before the rest of you guys, unless you start running to. So all of a sudden, Chris is right behind you.
That's impressive.
Etienne would be pretty close behind.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all there. You're all now at the edge of the forest. Keening has flown up to sit on Chris's shoulder.
Virgil's
She's looking
just
into the forest.
buttoning up his shirt. There's no need for alarm. There was a trap that I was able to disengage, and one of the side effects of that was a shriek in the woods. I recommend that we all take caution, but everything for the most part is fine.
Most part. Okay.
Keening says something to Chris. Chris lets go of the wagon, steps around everyone, goes over to the edge of the forest, and he grabs onto a tree and he pulls on it. And he starts bending it over. And then he starts bending it the other way. And he keeps doing this until eventually he pulls the tree out of the ground. And then with one hand, he starts breaking off all the branches until he basically has a 20-foot long, big-ass tree trunk. He slings it up onto his shoulder, walks back to the cart, thud, drops it on the ground, and stands there.
I didn't know he could do that.
Really ought to have forgotten a manual for this thing.
Yeah. Chris has battle mode.
I think I remembered half of what the bird just said to it, but I didn't catch the rest. There's a body here.
Oh yeah, you can all see the body now. It's real gross.
Yes.
It's been there for a while.
It's holding
smells
its,
bad.
It's holding its bits. And it's been marked by the beckoners. Clearly a sign that this is their territory, so if we are to move through it, we should do so mindful and respectfully. I don't see any cause for us to need to resort to violence with them.
Etienne's just staring at Keening because we've been like going back and forth with Chris, and seemingly like with a few trills, she's giving him a very sophisticated command to rip up a tree. So Etienne is just watching Keening, like trying to figure out. She's like kind of shown personality here and there. Am I getting like an emotion? Like, is she emoting in any way?
Well, it is hard to tell because she's a bird.
Correct.
So, she's not one to wear her emotions on her wings. Thank you. I'll be here all week. But,
God damn it.
Very good.
joke of the show. But you've spent a little bit. I mean, you were in the dark together for a month, so you were able to pick up some of the things. And you've been able to tell there are times when Keening gets serious and focused. And right now, Keening is very focused. Keening is in serious mode. She
Wow.
very clearly had your giant robot arm itself.
Etienne's going to picking up on that. He's had his sword drawn, but he's actually going to remove his shield and have that on his arm as well, before taking up a spot at the edge of the woods and like
Mhm.
looking in to see if he can see anything coming out.
It's very dark in them there woods, and I forget if Reforged get dark vision.
I have blind sight up to 10 feet,
Okay.
so that it can't see very far. I don't have dark sight.
Okay. So yeah, you see real good for 10 feet, and then it gets pretty difficult to see much farther. The rest of you would all have an easier time seeing.
Got my dark vision.
Yep, wait, yep.
What I would like to do since
Oh no, not Ash.
No. I mean,
what I would like to do, since I know my buddy Etienne here has a harder time in the dark, I would like to take an arrow out, place a finger on it and cast light on the arrowhead, and then
Okay.
just shoot it up so that there's like light coming down for Etienne to see.
So you're shooting it like into the woods. You're like aiming for
Like
it.
into like the highest tree that I can see.
Okay. Yep. You do, and it sheds some light, and you can now see better. The forest gets very thick, but there is a path going through. Definitely looks wide enough for the cart. The ground is pretty level and easy. Doesn't look like it would really impede you too much. And where the light falls, looks like a forest. You know, there's some underbrush, there's some leaves, some little plants trying to grow up, having some trouble because of the forest, but it just looks like trees.
If it's all the same to all of you, I'd like to continue scouting ahead. I believe that I might be able to encounter any others before they encounter us, and thus put us in a better position to broker peace.
Make sure you stay within shrieking distance.
I don't shriek, Cass.
Right. All right.
I yell in a very masculine fashion at times. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah, I just like to. He's not going like he's not ditching. It's like 10 feet ahead of them, but stealthy, so that if he does see somebody like out of turn, or if the elevation changes, he can stop the party real quick.
Cass
Yeah,
wants
you
to
can.
drop down by the body as well, if that's possible. You said it was there for a long time.
Yeah, it's clearly. I mean, it's nailed up onto a tree, and it's well decomposed at this point.
Is there any way to tell if it was nailed onto this tree before or after it died?
That would be a medicine check.
Mhm. 9.
You have no idea.
Okay. Who would do something like this?
You do see the Beckoner symbol carved in his chest, so that gives you some idea.
Yvain is standing there with you, and she's like not even paying attention to what you're doing. She has her book open, looking up at this body, and is just writing down as much as she can, not even looking at her notes, just cataloging everything.
Is there anything else on this person besides the symbol of the Beckners? Like, if I pat, is it wearing clothes?
Naked.
Okay.
There are wounds all over it. Although at this level of decomposition, it would be a little hard to tell. You know, what was a bruise, what was just the thing rotting away. You do see that its throat is opened, so that pretty clearly is what killed it.
Is this really the way the Beckoners do things? Seems pretty odd for a cult that just wants their throne lady back.
I don't know. I don't know.
I should say that the official line from the wisdoms, the propaganda of the city, such as it is that this is exactly what the Beckoners are like. That they're evil, and they're trying to subvert the city, and they kidnap good people, and perform strange rituals on them. It's all the best satanic panic stuff, is being ascribed to these guys. Now, whether you believe that is an open question, obviously. I mean,
I'd like to know what Keening believes.
She's still up on Chris's shoulder.
Is this standard operating procedure for the Beckoners?
She says, I can't begin to know what these foolish pretenders will do.
Have you seen anything like this before, Keening?
Wanton cruelty with a hint of ritualism? Sure. This specific blend? No.
All right.
Out of this bird.
How will we know if you need help, Virgil, when you scared ahead? If you need help.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if I could do a perception.
Yep.
All right.
You may perceive.
A natural 20, so for a total of 28.
Okay.
Tell me, what do my elf eyes see? I'm not an elf. Or maybe I am. I'm an elf ASMR. I could do that at Pathfinder.
Oh my god.
You're an elf, Samar.
Elf some more.
Very good.
So looking ahead, you see that the path goes forward, and then it sort of curves, and then it kind of goes this way, and it curves back. But you just see a path. You just see trees on the side. The path looks fairly well trod. It's kind of cleared off of the underbrush.
And I don't see signs of any beckoners or anything like that.
No markers. no markers, no symbols, just trees,
All right, then yeah.
which are, weird enough on their own to you, but
I mean, yeah, this whole place is kind of goofy, but I'm just gonna kind of double time us so that if the Beckoners do come back, my friends don't shoot my friends. So just all right, everybody. Everything looks clear so far, so let's move it on along.
Do you think we should steer clear of the shortcuts, given what we've seen so far? What if we are intruding on a territory that doesn't belong to us?
I'd imagine that at some level there is going to be some levels of intrusion, but I don't believe that the people that we would be intruding on would be absolutely unreasonable. I believe that reason will win out.
Gesturing at the person up on the post. I wonder what his crime was. Anywho.
Probably being unreasonable. So let's not make the same mistake, shall we?
Rightly so.
so are you venturing into the woods?
Yeah.
Because
Because
Okay.
nothing bad ever happens in the woods.
Nope.
So Keening barks some more orders to Chris, who picks up his big stick, slings it over the back, and then carries the cart with one hand. Starts going onto the path and going into the woods. What's the formation for everybody else? I know Virgil wants to be up ahead scouting.
Yep.
What about you other three?
Etienne would, if Yvain and Cass were fine with it, Etienne would probably position himself in front of them, and just would be walking.
Yeah, Cass is done riding on the cart at this point and is going to walk to kind of burn off some of the nervous energy.
Yvain would probably grab onto whoever's kind of in the middle of the pack, rest her book on their back, and while also holding on to them and continue writing notes, still heavily distracted by cataloging
Mhm.
everything and
writing up everything as she normally would, but like obviously still good to go. This is something that they would have noticed in the catacombs as well if anyone would have perished in that time, needing to get transported from A to B, but still like in it. This is relatively normal thing for her.
Yeah, Etienne, I would absolutely like be fine with that. I think he'd actually prefer knowing like that people were close and like protected.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just feel that like Etienne is it's uncomfortable. Like normally when you like touch someone, there's like a presence about them, and Etienne does not have that. It's just like a dead, empty feeling.
She'll tap his shoulder. We're gonna unpack that later. Just keep walking.
Okay, well, as you guys venture into the creepy woods, we are going to take a quick break.
Yay.
Woo!
All right. Don't go nowhere. you all got a drink. Hope you all got some snacks. Josh, please take us back into it.
Sure. So we are progressing through the spooky woods. Again, just to emphasize, all of this is weird to most of you, to basically everyone except for Yvain, and even still kind of for Yvain, because nature be scary and you've never seen it before. But you're moving through the woods, and you're moving slower than you were before. Everyone's kind of keeping their eyes peeled and looking around, and Virgil's a little ahead of everybody. But you're going for a while and don't seem to have any particular issues. The path, again, is kind of circuitous as it goes through the woods, but there's nothing in your way. It's all just kind of fine. And before long, an hour has passed, uneventfully. You guys are just, continuing along. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on the lack of action, or.
To clarify, are we going down the same general direction that we have been going, and this just happened to be in the way, or are we exploring in the forest? Sorry, my brain sucks right now.
Oh, sure. No. So this is the way that you were. The way you were going led to the edge of this forest, which, to be clear, was really big.
Yeah.
The idea of going around it would have taken a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw this forest on the map, and it just looked like a bunch of trees, so it wasn't clear what it was going to be like on the ground. But yeah, so your route hasn't been, arrow straight through here, but you do, as far as you can tell, you are still going in the direction you want to be going.
Okay.
Ever keenly aware of his immediate surroundings, is anyone following or watching us? I feel like there's a weird calm after that grotesque visage we were greeted with. And it's got Cass kind of looking over his shoulder a bunch.
You can make a perception.
$19.
19. See a whole lot of trees. Anybody else looking around?
No, I am. All right, let's do it. Perception. Yeah. 27.
27. Okay. Up ahead of you and to your right, you just make out someone lurking behind a tree, wearing clothing that helps them blend in with the background, and they are watching you.
About how far would you say they are?
Let's say they're about 100 feet away. No, let's say they're more like 60, because that would make sense with your vision.
This is true. Awesome. That's perfectly in range. I'm gonna wait until I'm about 30 feet from them. And then I'm going to
Let me get a stealth check.
ooh, I would love to do that. Okay, let's go. Really? 14.
Okay. As you approach, the person dips out of view and vanishes.
Okay, I don't need to see him for this. I am going to cast suggestion. And I'm going to say, it would be best for us all if you come forward. We mean you no harm.
What is the DC in your suggestion?
DC for my thing was here is 14.
Okay. After a second, the person emerges again and starts hesitantly walking toward you.
See, that wasn't so hard now, was it? Who are you, if you don't mind my asking?
In a soft and quavering voice, person says to you, I am
What was that?
no one.
No one. Well, we're all someone. When we entered these woods, we saw the work of the beckoners. Would you happen to be a beckoner?
Worlds are hers. This, he says more loudly. And as he gets closer, you can figure out that he is a he.
How close? Oh, I still have a little distance from the party, so I am just gonna give him the response. The worlds were hers.
He says, with gusto, the worlds will be hers again, which all of you can hear.
I have no quarrel with you, and the ones that I travel with have no quarrel with you. We simply would like safe passage through the rest of these woods. Is that something that you and yours can accommodate?
It is not my decision, it is hers.
We exist because her ability to exert her will has been taken from her. I believe that I am on this path to right what was wronged. I pray that my brethren see the same.
He's kind of looking at you close, studying you. He holds up a bit of leather onto which is carved the Beckoner circle.
I remove the bit of shirt and I have the tattoo.
He then says something in a language you don't speak, but you recognize it because Keening has been speaking it a lot.
Ooh.
For the record, she doesn't sound like a bird.
Do you mind me asking what language is that, friend?
It is her tongue. It is Drax.
I was never blessed to learn it.
How can you carry her sign without speaking her tongue?
Because things in the city have grown.
The city? You come from the city?
Yes.
He immediately starts backing away. And is very clearly on edge now.
Are we close enough to see and hear all of this, or was Virgil scouted far ahead?
You are now.
Okay.
So you see Virgil talking to a person in like brown colored robes, the hood and cloak, and who is now slinking away from Virgil and has a hand going towards a hilt at his side.
Easy, friend.
His eyes dart over to you like he hasn't noticed you before. Looks more ill at ease, more nervous.
I recognize that panic in your eyes. I'm begging you, please don't. Things will get complicated if you do. We're trying to keep things really uncomplicated. That's not a threat. I'm just keeping things on the level, being transparent. Let's take things easy, guys.
Fingers wrap around the hilt and tighten. The blade hasn't been drawn yet.
If it makes you feel safer.
I am going to say something in Thieves' Cant to see if he understands it. That's the only shot I got. I am going to say, what place exists where her will what place exists where her will is not manifest?
He looks at you confused. You're pretty sure he doesn't speak Thieves' Cant.
God.
He hasn't seen Guy Ritchie movies.
Cass is gonna pull his very slowly. He's gonna reach one hand with the other hand still up in the air. He's gonna reach for his flute and pull it slowly out so that he can see what it is. We're not here to hurt you. We can be friendly.
Make a persuasion.
Oh yeah.
Or a deception, I suppose. It depends on...
No, he's trying to be nice. He doesn't want to hurt him.
I'm about to plug this kid. He's one of my own.
6 plus 11 is 17. We're not here to take anything from you.
Pulls out the sword. Says, nothing comes from the city but lies and liars. It is a damned, doomed place.
Like I said, I don't want anything from you. In fact, you can go on your merry way if it's what you want. We're heading to a very specific location, and then we're going back. To be honest with you, we're trying to meet as few people on the road as possible. But we won't stop you from going home.
So he looks over the lot of you, sort of one by one, our eyes darting between you. And then he looks at Chris, and his eyes get wide. And then he turns on his heel and he runs.
Can't have that.
Before he can make a move, or as he turns to pivot,
Mhm.
Etienne, who's just been standing there silently, is going to yell. Not really yell. He's going to state with confidence, "Halt!" But the word's going to reverberate as I'm casting command. It's a DC 12. Not great. Wisdom.
Stops where he is, and freezes. Awkwardly so, because you caught him in the sort of middle of starting a run, so he kind of stumbles and stops.
Etienne then will take a couple of steps forward towards the individual. Looking at Casimir and Virgil as he moves towards the person. If you have any ideas, now's the time.
The guy yells, "Release me, you heathens!"
Etienne, please be gentle. He's just a boy.
With him stopped, Etienne's going to move around to kind of cut off the escape into the trees and look at this person. I feel like because it's dark, Etienne looks particularly menacing. The lenses of his eyes red and kind of flickering, and faint light can come through. All black armor, sword drawn, and he's gonna rest his sword tip just in the dirt before raising it up to be just a couple inches away from this person's face, but under their nose. You can sit down and talk to us, and you cannot make a fuss. Or you can sit here and wait for us to make safe passage and still not make a fuss.
So
Those are your options.
He sort of slowly comes to realize that he is no longer held in place by the spell. He's looking around at all of you, particularly at Etienne, who does scare the bejesus out of him. He says there is nothing to be gained trafficking with the spawn of the fallen city.
And there's everything to lose to interfere.
And sort of finding his courage, he says, "Strike me down if you must. I shall rise up mighty in her service."
Etienne kind of smirks at the rising up. You're some kind of fool. This is all that waits anyone who believes that nonsense. And he gestures at himself.
Kid, what's your name?
I am no one.
Why did you follow us?
You came into the woods. I watch who comes into the woods.
Is that your job?
It is the duty I perform.
Would we not be here?
It does not matter wherever you go. Wherever you stand, you are an affront.
Well, that's quite rude.
Yvain's still like writing stuff down in her book even an hour later, like paying attention but also like trying to recall exactly what everything looked like and is actively sketching everything out now.
Yeah, and he looks very confused as you're like looking up the book and like talking to him and then going back. He has no idea what to make of you, that's for sure.
I think Virgil's gonna walk over to him and whisper, I am trying everything I can to save you.
He looks at you and says, I am already saved, brother. The real question is, are you?
I am doing the Archon's work, and you would impede me, and I can suffer that no longer.
You say her name, yet you come from the city. You do the bidding of those who rule that place. The pretenders, the usurpers.
As they would use her name for their own ends, so does she with theirs. Do you think there's any trick that exists that she has not been able to replicate herself? Do you think so little of our Archon?
He looks at you with that, kind of puzzled. Well, of course, she could use them if she wanted to.
You say the city is a damned and cursed place.
Because it is.
What place is it damned and cursed by her absence? Do the trees outside the walls of the city bear better in her absence than the city? I believe that the entire world suffers for the lack of her presence, not just the city. And I would save it all. Think bigger, brother.
So what he does is he says, then why? And that's the last thing he ever says, is all of a sudden there is an arrow in his throat. And he is falling forward, clutching at the arrow as blood spurts out everywhere.
Good shot.
Cass runs forward and like grabs him before he falls down and like tries to hold his hand over like the wound so it stops bleeding.
I mean, blood is just going to keep
Yeah,
bubbling
it's
forth.
fruitless, but
I am gonna say, like, as I hand the body off to Cass, I am gonna pull the arrow out of his neck and knock it into my bow.
Holy shit!
Yeah, the second that arrow like cuts through into Etienne's kind of vision, I have the feat alert, So I can't be surprised while I'm conscious, and other creatures don't gain it advantage on attack rolls against me as a result of being unseen by me. So Etienne just immediately, like he was holding the sword, it immediately comes back into a defensive stance, and his shield goes up.
Okay. Everybody can make perception checks.
Okay.
Yes.
Yvain is now actively paying attention as Amanda's now dying. Perception, you said?
8.
Yep.
9.
I got an
Damn it.
18. Woo!
Got a 14.
Okay.
I'm doing great, guys.
Doing the Lord's work here.
There is no God on this planet.
We killed him.
So none of you see anything, but Keening says something to Chris, and Chris picks up the tree that he previously liberated, and he throws it,
Ooh.
and it goes flying off into other trees and hits them, and there's a terrible loud crash. And then stillness falls over the forest.
I'll immediately cast Cure Wounds over the bleeding that I'm trying to staunch with my hands.
Okay. Give me a roll on that for the how much healing you do.
10 HP.
So beneath your hands, the wound closes, and the guy was very pale, and he's still rather pale, but he kind of coughs and sputters and comes back to himself on the ground.
Hey, it's all right. All right, breathe. It's gonna be okay.
And then seeing you, he sort of flinches and tries to get away. And he's trying to get to his feet.
Stay low. We don't know where that arrow came from. Did you see who shot it?
He's ignoring you. He's getting to his feet, and he's looking on the ground for his sword.
If it's on the ground, I'll pick it up and offer it to him handle first.
He looks at you sort of hesitantly before quickly grabbing the sword and pulling it away.
If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have just saved your life now, mate. Let's take a few deep breaths now that you can.
Quietly, sort of to himself, he says, "Trust nothing that comes from the city, not even their kindness. Nothing comes from the city but covered in thorns."
I thought they made us tougher stuff out here.
And he's now slowly backing away from you guys, sword in hand. And he keeps putting a hand to his neck, as if he's expecting to suddenly find it bleeding again.
Was it one of your own that just shot you? If you go back to them now, how long are you expected to live?
While I breathe, I serve her will. And he turns on his heel, and he's going to run off into the woods, unless someone stops him.
Etienne's gonna let him go. As he listens to this guy talk, Etienne is actually starting to back, in front of the group, not even concerned about this kid anymore. We should move.
Did anyone see where that arrow came from?
Can I use my class feature, which is an eye for detail, to use bonus action to make another perception check to spot a hidden creature?
Sure.
Ooh.
Alrighty, here we go. Yeah, that's more like it. 27.
27. Okay. You do spot a creature, or what remains of one. Chris aimed that shot very well, and the archer is all smeared on the ground, having been hit basically square on by a tree.
Oh. Well, that's a nifty feature.
Well,
Just gonna take out a towel and dry this blood-covered arrow and put it in my quiver.
Is there anything
Body's
left?
over here. Let's see what's on it. At least I can get some arrows out of this.
Yvain is actively on her way to the dead body.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there anything left of the body, like clothing, packs, what have
Wait.
you?
Yeah, the person was dressed similarly to this other guy. You know, simple clothes and then a cloak to sort of match into the background of the forest. The bow and the arrows are off to the side.
I'm just gonna take those arrows. How many did he have?
20.
Awesome.
Was there anything else on him, like a fanny pack or a small bag? Keep those eyebrows under wraps, Sarah.
Yes. there is a fanny pack of
Nerd.
sorts.
And it's filled with Beckoner paraphernalia. Little pamphlets telling you how you can help her.
Would you like to know more?
The
Archon. needs-
Archon Pez dispenser.
the fanny pack is full of dried green leaves and a bone pipe.
I'll take
My
those
guy.
out.
And the underside of the pipe is carved the Beckoner circle.
I'll keep those. I'll smell the dry leaves.
Very strong, earthy smell. Makes you feel a little tingly.
These might be medicinal. I'll hold on to these.
Might be.
We'll test later.
Yes.
And he'll kind of thumb over the logo on the bottom of the pipe before storing it in one of his own pockets.
Virgil's just gonna stand where that archer was standing and knock his bow going. I could have made that shot, yeah.
Well done, Chris.
there's-
You've left nothing behind.
Unless
Actually-
y'all intend to arm him with another tree, we best be moving. Can't linger amongst the dead unless we wish to join him.
God damn it, give me 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Habit, sorry. If we need to go, it's fine. Just literally give me 30 seconds and I can write down what I need to.
Take your 2 minutes, Vane.
So
Besides,
Chris is walking up and grabs the big tree trunk, slings it back over his shoulder, goes back to the wagon,
Chris,
pulls it up
stop.
behind you.
Chris, no. Chris, drop it.
Chris
Down.
stops. When you say down, he kneels.
Drop it.
He doesn't.
Put
You
the
cannot
stick
ask a
down,
soldier.
Chris.
You cannot ask a soldier to put down his weapon.
He's not a soldier. He's a rickshaw driver.
Etienne looks over at Keening when Casimir says that. Is she
And she's
just kind of
still-
sitting there?
She's still perched on Chris's shoulder. She's glaring down at Cass. And then she says something to Keening in that language you guys don't know again. And Chris stands back up with the tree over one shoulder, grabs the wagon with the other hand, and starts walking forward along the path.
Did he just disobey? a
It
command?
seems the bird has taken a liking to your rickshaw driver.
It's not
And unless you
concerning at all.
everyone to remember that the rickshaw driver is mine.
I would caution you, Virgil. I believe the rickshaw driver is Keening's, he says very quietly.
I know what it is that I said, Cass.
As Chris and the cart get up to the rest of you guys and start to pass you, Keening says to all of you, "We should not tarry."
The second she says that, Etienne's put his sword back in its sheath and will fall in step with the cart.
I
Vane
would-
has also immediately closed her book mid-sentence or sketch, whatever she was working on at the time. She knows better than to like not listen to Keening.
In this time, I think Virgil was trying to do a survival check to see if he could find footprints of where these guys came from.
Sure, you can do that.
Yeah. That's not in my skill set. That's a 10.
D-
You don't find shit.
Curses. All right. He's gonna make his way back in the cart and goes, it'll be a damn cold day in hell before I start taking orders from a bird. And he just gets in the cart.
Cass is gonna linger like an extra 10 seconds, kind of looking at the mess. Cass has never seen a body smeared by tree on the dirt, and so the visage is kind of like locking into his brain before he kind of pulls himself away from the feeling sick, pulls himself away from looking at it to catch up with the cart. And he'll pull out one of those files he keeps in his bag and starts chugging.
So you guys carry along. And you're going a little slower now. Your heads are all on a swivel. You're very on edge, as you might expect. And the path starts to get straighter after a while. And in the distance, you can just start to, it's sort of as you're going in, it's getting darker and darker and darker. It has now started ahead of you to get lighter by little bits by little bits. And it's maybe an hour after that whole encounter when the path turns abruptly, and ahead of you, you can see it open, and there's a big, heavy gust of wind, and with it comes it's a surprisingly dry breeze. You notice that the trees here are looking, they have fewer leaves, they aren't quite as tall, the canopy isn't as thick. And on the back of that wind is the unmistakable smell of salt. Right in front of you, laying across the path, is a really big tree. And it's maybe 100 yards ahead of you guys.
And is it in like a clearing separate from all the other trees, or?
It's across the path.
Oh, so it's right in the middle of where we're walking?
Path's going like this, tree, across path. It is, you would have to move it to get the cart past.
Oh, I see, it's down. Okay. All right. Chris, you mind clearing the road? You're the tree guy. Go fetch. Come on, boy. Come on, Chris. Go get the stick.
Keening is looking around. And what all she says is, she says, "Ready yourselves, the ether stirs."
Etienne draws his sword.
Perception check. Everybody perception checks.
Perception. Plow.
15.
24.
21.
17.
You all hear the crunching of leaves and sticks as people walk across undergrowth. It's coming from either side of you.
Before we get into combat, I think Virgil's going to activate his Radiant Soul. And mainly just so he can get a better vantage point and be away from the violence. His eyes are going to glow golden, and golden wings are going to sprout, and he's going to fly to the top, to the first branch he could get to of that big tree.
Just of any big tree that's around.
Of the one that's blocking our path.
Well, the one that's blocking. I mean, it's to be clear, it's knocked over. It's fallen over.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, any other tree around, he's just gonna kind of
Yep.
fly to the top there so he can hide and start sniping.
Yeah, you get a good vantage point. What's everyone else doing in response to the sound of encroaching footsteps?
It sounds like a lot of them.
Etienne will murmur in Elvish as he's in a defensive stance. And there'll be a bright like glow in the air that forms in front of his lips, and as he finishes muttering, it will split in 3 ways and go hover in front of each of your foreheads before turning into like a red star, and just kind of being right here. He's casting bless on each of you, so you have a D4. You can add that to an attack roll or saving throw.
So as you're all sort of looking around, the sound of footsteps is getting closer and sounding more numerous as it gets closer. All of a sudden, there is something unexpectedly understated. As a person wearing a very nice purple dress walks out of the forest, stands in front of the fallen tree, leaning on a staff, and further back along the road, 4 figures carrying elaborate banners with bright, brilliant heraldry with the Beckoner circle on it, form a line behind the tree. And then the person in the very nice dress looks at all of you and smiles. She is a tall, dark-skinned elf with white hair going all the way down to the small of her back, which has been braided into very elaborate strands going all the way down. So she's leaning on this staff she's carrying, with her right arm gripped tight around it. Her left arm is hanging limp at her side.
Yvain is actively buckling her book into a harness that she is now strapping on her back. And as she's doing this, she's kind of not looking away from these people. It's just like an active motion more passive motion. And just calls out, sorry, I don't mean to disturb. Should we go a different way?
She says, I'm afraid that decision was passed hours ago. At this point, the die is well and truly cast. And she looks to the forest and she gestures, kindly almost, and out steps the guy from earlier. He approaches her with tremendous trepidation, and sort of just... Sorry, had a phantom sneeze. He walks before her, his footsteps slowing the closer he gets, and by the time he's near her, he can barely stand. And he falls onto his knees, and he prostrates before him, and he kisses her feet. And
What's
she
Keenan
says,
doing right now?
she is just staring daggers at this person.
Okay.
And then the woman says to the guy, she says, rise, faithful servant. And he stands, and as he gets a little higher, she kind of puts a hand gently on his chin and guides him so he's standing straight. And she puts her hand over his neck, which has a pretty gnarly scar. You know, you fixed him, but there's still... She says, in her name be made whole. There is a flash of light. He kind of flinches for a second. And then when she pulls her hand away, There is not a sign of anything on his neck. And he stands tall and proud beside her, seeming quite pleased to do so. Then she looks at all of you.
After seeing the flag, can I descend, or is has too much time passed?
Oh, you can descend from where you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's gonna immediately just kind of float down and just go. I think there's been a misunderstanding. We are not your enemies. We were informed that the Aether. It's not important. Listen.
How close are you to her?
I would say he flew like 10 feet in front of her.
Okay. She approaches you.
Okay.
She puts a hand on your cheek. She says, "Be at ease, good sir. We shall rectify all of this present. We shall determine the truth of all things. We shall act as she would wish." Rejoice. You have freed yourself from the city of lies. Count yourself fortunate. So few ever manage it.
The ones I travel with do not believe as I do.
What is it you believe, good sir? She says this quietly, so only you can hear.
I believe that my every action is destined to bring the Archon back to her rightful status here. And I will work tirelessly to do so.
She says, "You shall have the chance to prove the truth of your conviction presently. Be at ease. Stand among your brethren." And so from either sides, the sort of great host of people stop. And they're far enough away that it's not like an immediate threat, but you can also see them. They're all armed, mostly just an assortment of swords, clubs, spears. There's a couple bows, just more in the back. A few have shields, but they're all pretty ragtag. But they're all wearing clothing that has the Beckoner circle on it somewhere. And you'll note that this woman is not wearing any obvious Beckoner symbolism. She is just standing here in a very nice dress with her staff.
I noticed you worked some healing on the young lad there. Seems kind of a late afterthought, given what happened to him in the forest.
That was regrettable, but all has been made whole. Well, almost all. We are missing one of our brethren, thanks to you. But I am happy to put past transgressions behind us and begin with a clean slate.
I would remind you that that is an opportunity you were afforded because I saved him after your brethren put an arrow in his throat.
And we thank you for your service. But please, let us not be strangers any longer. I am Macariel, and we are the beloved. We serve our great Lord's will. And any who do the same are brethren to us. And all others are foes from who shall receive no mercy from us.
Have I heard of the beloved before?
Yeah, I
No.
was just about to ask the same
No?
thing.
Okay.
Nobody's heard of the beloved before.
Okay. Thank you.
But you will notice that when she said the beloved,
Mhm.
all the people on either side of you put a hand to the center of their chests, including the guy standing next to it. The people holding the banners haven't moved.
Who was it that you said that you follow?
We serve the one true ruler of the worlds.
Fair. Okay.
Do you mean the Archon?
Who else would I mean?
There's been a lot of talk lately. I'm just trying to
There's
keep the
only-
story straight.
There is only one with the right to rule, and it is she. At this, Keening says something. And as one often does in moments of passion, one reverts to one's mother tongue. So none of you know what she says. But Macariel answers in common. I need not know her name to know her will. And that invective is hardly appropriate for a friendly meeting such as this.
GM, can I get a spelling on this NPC?
Macariel?
name? Yeah.
Macharaiel.
Thank you.
Always happy to oblige. And at that, Macariel looks to her right and waves, and from out of the group on that side emerges a figure wearing plate, with a halberd in hand. And this person walks right up to Macariel's side and stands there, the halberd in the ground, just kind of stares you all down. Lifts the faceplate so you can see that he is a human man. And his face is covered in colored markings that are glowing softly.
So then, what business do you have with us here, as we are simply, as I told your young friend, traveling? We have no intention of disturbing your community. We had no intention of even encountering your community.
If you are here, it is for only one of two reasons. Either you believe as we do and you've come to join us, in which case we will welcome you as the brethren you are, and be glad to receive the supplies you have brought us. It will aid greatly in our cause. Or you are here to serve those who call themselves wisdoms, in which case you are regrettably our enemies, and this encounter can end only one way. Either way, the coffers of the beloved will be bolstered this day.
You mentioned a cause?
Indeed, we serve her will.
I
We
have...
beckon her glorious return.
Well, then I have questions twofold. Number one, what is her will? And number two, when was the last time she updated you on her desires?
Sort of chuckles softly to herself. Well, the first question is quite simple indeed. Her will is to reclaim her rightful place as ruler of the worlds, and then to put right all that has gone wrong in her absence. As to how she makes her will known to us, those of us who are favored, she speaks to us in our dreams.
And what is her will? What wrongs is she looking to set right?
Look about you, gentle sir. Look at this fallen and ruined world. How can you ask what has gone wrong? How can you ask what she hopes to set right? The facts of it are all around you. There was a sea once behind us, great and glittering. If only you could see what it is reduced to now.
I think when she says that, Etienne spit.
she notices the gesture, it just kind of lets it pass. And she says, I'm not an impatient person, but I shall be needing an answer. Are you here to serve the wisdoms or to serve the Archon? You are brethren?
We are here to serve the people of Eudaimon.
The people of the city are held in bondage to lies. It would indeed be good to liberate them. And that is our aim in due course. So if you would see them set free from their present miseries, you should join us.
If it's all the same to you, I'd like to continue serving myself and no master.
Alas, it is not the same.
I figure that might be the case, seeing how change is so frightful to you. And you're desperate for whatever it is we have, hence the showing of force. And Etienne just raises his chin to like this very like obvious like showy like this girl rolled up with like 50 dudes. Like, come on, like Etienne's like rolling his eyes at this. This is showmanship for 1,000. He ain't buying.
She says, you misjudge me. Change is precisely what I want. The status quo cannot be maintained. That is what we do with every day of our lives. We work to bring renewal to the worlds in her name. And all the people on either side repeat in unison, in her name.
What steps have you taken to do so, and what has prevented you from simply barging down the doors of Eudaimon and liberating the people you so claim to serve and liberate?
That question isn't half as clever as you think it is.
I'm not trying to be clever, I'm trying to get answers. You're speaking
Eudaimon
in
is-
riddles and roundabouts, and I'm trying to understand directly.
Shakes her head and kind of chuckles again. Eudaimon is a city of 20 millions, maybe more. And the wisdoms, though they are false, are anything but feeble. We cannot simply barge in there. Ours is a work that will take generations. Rest assured, we will triumph. She will return. From either side, she will return.
And this cart of wine will definitely herald in her magnificent glory. Can we be done with this? Charade.
That is how you see it. We may conclude presently.
Etienne's gonna turn and look at the party, eyes lingering on Virgil to make the call.
Virgil's just gonna look at her like,
And you're still right up close. You're still 10 feet away. Everyone else is
Yeah.
farther back.
yeah, he's just gonna kind of look at her one more time and go, is there no other way?
And she says to you quietly, your place is by our side, brother. You belong with me, not with them. They have made their choice. Don't let yourself be damned by it.
I am the poison pill that has slipped into the drink of the wisdoms. I am the cancer that will eat them from the inside out, and I need these people to do that.
If you are such a thorn in their sides, why do you carry their mark? And she gestures with her hands, and the pen glows bright enough in your pocket to be seen. But to be clear, you can see it. People behind you
Yeah.
can't see it because it's blocked. by you.
He's gonna pull the pin out
Now the rest of you can see it.
because this makes them feel as though they are in control. If he shows the mark of the beckoners, but this is the one that is close to my heart. This is the one that I chose. Does that buy me nothing.
I'm going to give you persuasion. But I'm just going to say the guy standing next to her with the halberd, I'll also give you deception if that's more your jam. But the guy standing...
Being honest.
Okay.
But it would be better if I used deception, but he's being honest, so I'm just gonna roll my +1.
Come on, baby.
Story dice! Shit! What is it? Fancy dice are so hard to read. That is a dirty 20.
Woo!
I rolled a 19.
For the record, the DC was 20. So she says, sort of takes a second, considers it, quietly says, "Where do they send you? What do they have? What do they want you to reclaim?"
He's gonna give all the info. He's giving up the complete ghost. It's like it's everything. Everything. And are you talking loud enough that the others could hear you, or are you talking quiet? It's still muttering.
Okay.
And he's actually using his wings to kind of cover up what he's saying.
So she hears you say that you're going to the gardens and you're reclaiming this book, and you describe what it looks like, and that it supposedly rests in the resting place of the sword of the Archon. And when you say that, the sword of the Archon, she leans close and she says, "You may have just found a third road, my brother. I do not know what this book is. I do not know why the wisdoms want it. I can tell you that in the salt lands awaits only misery, and the gardens are a carnival of horrors you cannot comprehend. But if you can retrieve the sword of the Archon, that is a relic, the likes of which I never dreamed to see in all my years."
Then it shall be done.
And she leans closer to you. She's like studying you closely. She says, "The day of Zenith last, I dreamed of a falcon descending from the sun with a sword clutched in its bill. And upon its talons, the symbol of our Lord. I believe you are here for a reason. So swear this to me now, on your honor. In her name, you will retrieve this sword of the Archon, and you will bring it back to us. You will place it in my hand. We shall permit you safe passage now and upon your return, and may you go and wreak havoc in the City of Lies."
I swear upon my name, upon the name of the Archon, it will be done as you say. I will retrieve the sword of the Archon, and I will place it in your hand.
She raises a hand, and light flares around you, and a series of symbols appear around at your feet. I don't know if anyone else is going to react to this and try to mess things up, as it were. But very quietly, she is going to say, "In her name, speak no falsehood. By her glory, let only truth be said. Speak her name unto me, and our pact is made."
The name of the Archon, I will
And you,
speak-
and to be clear, you do know her name.
Oh.
And you know that you are never supposed to say the name to anyone who is not a true believer.
Okay.
You do in fact know her name, but you've heard it styled many different ways. And so I am going to give you an insight to determine how you think how you think Macariel wants her to be referred to.
Okay, I can roll that sweet insight. I'm actually not terrible at those. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. So you know that there were many titles by which the Archon was and is known. Her name is Acadia. Some call her the Mother. Some call her simply the Lord. Some call her the Last Light. Some call her specifically the Archon of the Outer Worlds. Some call her the Archon of all the worlds. But you know that one title was the original. And you suppose that Macariel would appreciate history above all else. And you know that that original title was Acadia the White Worm.
Okay.
See, I just pick one more.
So, Virgil's going to place his hand on his tattoo and say, I swear, in the name of Zacadia, the White Worm, that I will retrieve the sword and I will place it in your hand.
She puts a hand over her heart. Then she leans forward and she kisses you on each cheek. And she says, and then loudly so all can hear, she says, by the name of the Archon, it shall be done. Go in peace. And then she turns and kind of just makes a gesture. And the tree that has fallen flips back up. All of its branches reappear. And it is suddenly a healthy tree stuck in the ground. No sign that anything was ever wrong. And she moves aside. Two of the guys with flags stand to either end of the path. She's on one side by two of them. The guy in armor is by the other. The one dude who got an arrow in the neck, he kind of looks around, has no idea where to go, and so just kind of runs off into the woods and joins the others. The road ahead of you is clear. Now, to be very clear, none of you heard what Virgil said. Clearly they talked, and some magic was done. But you are apparently allowed to go. And for Sarah's notes, it's Akkadia, and then it's worm with a Y.
Okay. A.
Adia.
Okay.
As in the
I
name
totally
of the ancient Semitic civilization. For you history buffs out there.
What,
Virgil's
just like
just gonna-
that? That's all? We go in peace after all this show and rigmarole?
I told you, Cass, it's just a matter of being reasonable. They're
So
reasonable
Keening
people.
flies down onto Yvain's shoulder and says, this is a trap. They are lying. Don't trust them. She says it in Druidic.
Okay. She will immediately look over towards Cass. I don't think this is actually happening.
I don't like the feel of it either, but if they're going to let us go, we may as well take the opportunity to get as far away from them as possible, yeah?
No, you don't understand. This doesn't feel right.
So
What would you have us do?
I don't know, but we are walking into what they want us to walk into.
Well, they want us to walk into it. The wisdoms want us to walk into it.
The
I have a
situation, the
million
current
questions.
scenario. I understand.
I have questions still, you know.
Macariel says, would that I could take the time to answer them, but you are set upon important work. You should not tarry.
Yes, we've talked about pushing our luck. We should go.
An open road is a rare thing. It should not be questioned when it presents itself. Keening says something sharp and biting in that language she's been speaking.
Hmm.
And then in common, she says, well, anything's better than standing here.
Etienne, who was watching Virgil, just wordlessly watching Virgil, after that exchange, will put his shield back, and still with his sword out, begin to walk past these beckoners, like continuing through the open road. Though he will, passing Macariel and her champion, he will absolutely spit again at the ground at their feet, and carry on.
So the champion, which funny enough is exactly what I called him, is just glares at you and sort of tightens his grip around his halberd. Macariel is unfazed. She makes a symbol with her hand, which you realize is the beckoner circle, and she says, "May her grace watch over you."
You go fuck yourself.
All right.
Chris,
Utterly
forward.
unfazed. Chris starts walking forward.
Lovely meeting all of you. Everyone here, have a wonderful day. Let's go, everyone.
As we pass the young kid,
He's
that
back.
we saw-
He's back among the others. It's hard to pick him out. He's now. Yeah, he ran back among the others. And
Can I try to find him in the crowd real quick and make
Yes.
eye contact with him?
that'll be a perception.
Pow! Ooh, 23.
You find him.
I'm gonna
He's
make
standing
eye
between two
contact
others.
with him, and like when I lock eyes with him, I'm just gonna mouth, "Be careful," and then nod at him as I grab onto the cart as it rolls on by and swing myself up onto a seat and just kind of like glance out at the other eyes that are kind of presumably locked in on us.
In response to you, he just puts his hands on his heart.
I think at this point, Virgil's gonna dismiss his wings and just make his way to the cart and go, "Are you all so starved for bloodshed that you would work to cause conflict, but it didn't need to be one?" And just sit in the cart.
So Keening flies up and stands right in front of you. And are there any languages that only you speak? Would it be Celestial?
I speak Celestial, Common, and Thieves' Cant.
Oh yeah. In Thieves' Cant, she says, "What did you promise her?" And says, and with a sort of traditional Thieves' Cant idiom, "There ain't no such thing as a free lunch."
In Thieves' Cant, he's basically gonna say the equivalent of, "You've got your secrets, and I have mine."
She looks very flustered as she flies away and goes back to sit on Yvain's shoulder. And as you pass the standard bearers, they are going to raise those standards high and keep them high until you're passed. The path out of the forest is a straight one. And the way is easy, and the light gradually dawns, brightens, and then all at once the forest comes to an end. If you look behind you, as you're progressing, everyone will just sort of fade back into the woods. You'll notice that 1 minute you look back and Macariel has just vanished, as have the standard bearers, but all the various assorted people are just kind of walking away. They're not trying to keep themselves concealed, but the nature of the forest, you kind of lose sight of them pretty quickly. And you step out of the forest and you are standing at the top of a very tall cliff It's sheer face down. It's about 50 feet down. And remember, Macariel said that what was here used to be a sea. What you see in front of you is a seemingly endless stretch of parched, barren land. It's just white and yellow and dry. And there is nothing whatsoever as far as you can see. It's not hard to put together that you now stand upon the precipice of the Saltlands. On that note, we're going to take a break.
Woo!
For the record, you did just talk your way past a real big fight.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm just going to
And,
delete all these notes I worked on and all these things I did.
Man,
Cries
that's
GM,
I
cries
know this too.
GM.
Yeah.
Yep.
that sounds
Okay.
like quite the milestone.
I have a million questions, and I might start another big fight here and now. And if you want to see that, don't go nowhere. Okay, bye.
Virgil into this.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Excellent.
You know what? No, Noir, why don't you elaborate on that and take us back into what we're...
Let's not elaborate on that, and let's get back into the game.
Bless.
Hear about my
so-
Virgil.
Well, there it is. God, I did my best. I did my level best, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Twitch. I tried to spare you.
An attempt was made.
One can only do so much. So, you have made it through the spooky forest with only minimal fire exchanged with a bunch of fanatics, and now you're at the top of a very high cliff. I mean, it's not like you're immediately falling over, but like there's a little bit of a landing, and then it's just sheer cliff down. The salt lands stretch before you and just look oh so lovely. Looking up at the sun, you will see that it is in fact quite late in the day of zenith. It's about time for the third watch, which you would know if you checked your timepiece, which means it's in theory time to make camp. Obviously, you could keep going if you wanted.
Let's get away from this tree line before we make camp, because I have a million questions and I'd rather not have peering eyes and ears on me while I ask them. And it kind of gives a look to Virgil.
Oh boy,
You've
you're
got
mad.
quite
I
a
can
bit
tell
to
that you're
answer
mad.
for.
You've got the face on.
Yeah, well, you've got quite a bit to answer for.
Oh, do I now?
Yes,
Fine.
I would say yes, you do.
Fine, then let's set up camp and let me see what I have to answer for.
Chris, forward quickly now.
Chris, stop! I've had just about enough of everyone telling my automaton what to do. Chris, forward!
Okay, Chris is now walking towards the cliff.
Etienne yells, "Halt, Chris! Halt!" Because it's a sheer drop off.
Chris, stop.
Chris, right?
And Etienne like turns and looks at Cass and Virgil. I think now would be a good time for us to have our wits about ourselves. We may have abandoned reason in the trees, but perhaps we can keep it together.
I would argue that I maintained strict reason, which is why we did not come to blows unnecessarily.
Oh, you came to blows, all right.
Oh, fuck
Basically
you,
knelt
Cass.
down in front of him.
Would you
GM,
like to have taken on a
Yep.
small army?
I would
while
like to
they
have had
start
answers.
having
Yeah.
the little bicker session, I'd like they're welcome to do that, but just in the side. Etienne has moved over to the edge of the cliff and is trying to see, like, does the road curve down? Is it just that sheer drop? We've just clearly we have to find a way to get down there.
Yeah. So the path you were following in the forest ended at the end of the forest, and in front of you, it's just a sheer cliff. And looking to either side, it continues to be that. But looking pretty far, I have to remember the cardinal direction that you were going in, which was southeast, I think. So you guys are facing that way, southeast, whatever. To your left, looking far enough away, a few miles, you can see that the ground and that the hinterlands and the saltlands kind of meet each other, and it looks like if you went down that way, you could stay on the outside of the forest. It would take some time; it's a few miles, but you could then pretty easily make the crossing into the saltlands.
Etienne will, kind of observing that, will turn back to Yvain. Milady, I believe we can take this path forward. Yeah. And to Keening on is Keening back on Yvain's shoulder?
She is, yeah.
He will give a curt little nod to Keening. And if you wouldn't mind helping with the instructions to get us there most quickly. Lady
Just
Keening.
fucking bird.
She nods, and she addresses Chris in that same language again. And Chris takes the tree still on his shoulder and just throws it over the cliff. It kind of goes sailing end over end and takes a good long while. And when it hits the ground, it kind of sticks pretty far in. And then he grabs the cart and starts walking along down the side.
Etienne will then wordlessly, like as I imagine Virgil and Cass are still just like throwing barbs, just clap like Cass kind of like on the back of the shoulder with a hand and start walking in the direction that we've set.
Okay. Speaking of bickering, let's get back to it.
Oh, and when he threw his hands up in the air, you just sang hallelujah to him. And who knows what happened? There were sigils around your ankles. Who knows what else he was going to have you throw around
Oh,
your
I'm so
ankles?
sorry. Are you so worried about me doing what is necessary to make sure that we all get out of this alive?
Without consulting with us? Yeah, I'm a little miffed.
Are you on the hook for anything? No.
What did you agree to?
What did
you
it
tell
cost
him?
you? What did it cost you, Cass?
It cost me time, dignity. I have no idea.
Oh, you act
what's
as though
going
you
on.
ever had dignity to spare.
We're not speaking.
Oh,
We're not speaking.
Like,
We're not speaking.
I
And he
doubt
pulls
you
out his
have the
flute.
capacity to stop speaking. Oh, you fucking fine. The wings come out again, and he's just gonna fly down the cliff.
Wait, really?
Fuck this.
Okay. You fly down the cliff, and you're gonna land down there at the bottom of the cliff.
Oh no! I'm trying. I'm following wherever Chris is going because
Okay.
someone, again, without my permission, has made the thing carrying my things. That is my thing. Move.
As you're like yelling from up above, Etienne just turns his head up and you see just like the glint of the red lenses. And he just kind of goes to raise his hand up to you, thinks better of it, puts it back down and keeps walking.
I can fucking see him.
So while all this is happening, Keening leans forward and speaks to Yvain in Druidic, and says, "You need to find out what he promised them. Until you
Yeah.
know, you're not safe."
Right. No, I know. I don't quite trust that at all. Him making a decision on the group's behalf, I don't quite agree with. But I will find out.
She says, "Good. It's good that you're cautious. But just know that every step further, you walk with a sword over your neck."
I'm used to the sharpness of that.
Keening kind of nods her approval, and then she's also been looking around for a bit, and she says now in common, "I think I recognize this place.
Really?
Remember it for what it was. This was the Crystal Sea. There should have been a city near here, a port, large harbor that supplied Eudaimon with trade from Forecast Isles. Maybe I can find us a way down." And she
Okay.
takes flight and sort of flies up to have a look. She was getting kind of emotional when she flew away, so you kind of get the impression that she was, before she made a scene, she was going to take her leave.
Okay.
Etienne will watch as Keening takes flight and do a quick look back to Yvain She all right.
I don't think Keening's ever all right. I think she rides a fine line between several different emotions. And okay is not really one of them. Content, maybe at some points, but briefly. Right now, it's more leaning towards concern and mostly just concern. Mostly that. She's looking for a better path.
And you?
I'm concerned. And like Cass, have a lot of questions, but I don't know that we can afford them right now.
Etienne nods, keeping his pace. It'll become clear with time.
Sure it will.
Time, or he kind of shrugs as if talking at this point, talking more to himself than anybody else. Time and blood. They have a way.
We all end up at the same place anyway, so whatever happens, kind of just have to accept it. Not like we can't change the path that's ahead of us. Clearly, we've done that just today, but hopefully we'll be okay based on the decisions that Virgil has made on our behalf.
Etienne kind of stiffens at the decisions made on his behalf bit. And just kind of nods, keeps going forward.
Everybody hold on for 2 seconds.
It's been 2 seconds.
Uh-oh.
It only took me 2 episodes to turn the party against me.
We're back.
Record time.
It's amazing. It's very good.
So I guess you're all carrying on down the cliff face. Well,
Yeah.
the side of the cliff.
Once
whatever
we
you
get
call
to the
that.
bottom is when I'll suggest that we start making camp, and we're like well enough away from the tree line that we
Yeah,
can
it's
see
gonna-
people.
It's gonna take you about 3 hours, so it'll feel pretty late to your internal clocks by the time you finally stop.
Hmm.
But if you
I-
do,
I'm- Oh,
go
okay. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm imagining the whole time everybody's kind of giving Virgil the cold shoulder.
Cass absolutely is. He'll like take a moment to like scowl in your direction every once in a while.
Etienne would not be giving you a cold shoulder. Like if you were trying to engage or interact, he absolutely would like respond and like engage. But it's still like very Etienne, very like curt and thing. But absolutely, you were not getting the vibe of him being like or anything. He thought about it. He decided not to. We're moving forward.
Well, we're making good time, it seems.
Yeah, if nobody has anything else, we'll get down to what it looks like. I mean, the hill sort of
Have eyes.
slopes down, and when you get to the bottom, the sort of grasses of the hinterlands gives way to just a little long spread of kind of soft sand. And you can all make a nature check.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
16.
Nature.
I
20,
mean,
dirty 20.
Whoa.
Whoa,
17.
that's some fine ass
11.
nature there.
That's
That's
some
pretty
good ass
neat.
nature right there, bro.
You could tell what kind of nature it is because of the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, anyone who beats a 10 knows what a C used to be.
Excellent.
And then anyone who beats, let's say, a 15 is able to put together that where you are stopping used to be a beach. Although the difference between that and the dried up seabed isn't much now that the sea is all dried up.
He's a good
And when
enough
you all stop and start setting up camp, for all this time Keeney has been flying pretty high, she will come back down. And she lands on Yvain's shoulder and just kind of is looking down at the sand.
Anything interesting?
It's all gone.
The sea is all gone. Is that what you mean?
Everything that I expected to see is gone. The Crystal Sea, portside villages, great bustling city. There aren't even skeletons, ruins. It's just salt and dirt and nothing.
I wonder why there's no remnant of anything, unless it's just been pilfered to the point of non-recognition.
Time turns everything to dust in the end.
It's true. Except you.
I had the stasis chamber to thank for that.
Lucky
I
you.
assure you I shall be dust in due course now.
Not if I can help it.
She kind of leans against you. Just your head.
Cute. I'm sorry, it's so different. It's not the same. I know change needs to happen in order for the world to progress, but this isn't progression.
When I first awoke and you told me that the world was different, things that you described sounded so unfamiliar. At first I was excited. The end of the world I knew I would count a blessing, without question. This desolation. I thought the city and its false rulers was sick pageantry enough, but this is just nothing.
Is she saying this in a way that we can all hear and
She
understand?
she is speaking in common. Yeah, she's speaking quietly, but she's speaking in common.
What do you mean by false rulers?
Speaking of the wisdoms,
Indeed.
so you believe them to be false rulers, but you don't quite believe in the Archon.
There's certainly no love lost between me and that bitch.
Right.
Don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
Don't hold your breath, Cass.
All I can say is that there's one comfort in this world of desolation, ruin, and madness. She's not in it.
What did she do that was so horrible?
We haven't time enough for me to explain, or even just to list her myriad sins.
How about we just get the worst thing she ever did?
Ruled the worlds as an immortal tyrant for thousands upon thousands of years, holding the lives of millions in her claws.
I would categorize that as pretty bad, you know?
Perhaps.
Just
Did anyone
right
starve
there
under
at the
her
top.
watch?
Plenty. If you think the wisdom's tyrants, know that they are only pretending to be all that she was. And their performance is not terribly convincing.
I'll level with you, Keening. The Undercity isn't much better than this. And he scoops up some sand and kind of lets it run through his fingers. There's a bit of peace in this desolation, if that makes sense.
It's
There are
easy to
people in
have
your
peace
diamond.
when there's no people around. I
Perhaps
agree with
we're
you.
the
The city
problem.
is a. The Archon might have agreed with you. As it stands, I don't disagree with you on the state of the city. It's disastrous. It's disgusting. It's a place of teeming miseries.
If she was such a terrible tyrant, then why are people so eager to have her back?
Because they were not alive when she ruled. They know an idea. They have a hope, and they label it Archon. It has no relation to the woman herself, to that foul creature.
As this is all happening, Etienne is just watching Virgil.
I'll need to roll a deception check to see how well he's been able to eat this shit.
I'm gonna roll insight, but
As soon as she caught the Archon bitch, it was just like whatever he was grabbing, he gripped onto it.
Nat 20 for a 24, baby.
That 24,
Oh!
baby.
Damn you!
No, actually, deception.
Hold on.
Deception sets the
Sets the
DC.
DC. Yeah.
Oh hell
So
yeah, me
Etienne wins.
So you can tell, and I think it makes sense to sort of interpret it, with sort of a degree of success. So, you can tell that he's holding something back and he's a little annoyed, but you don't completely see through him. It's a very good performance he's given. You are just especially perceptive and keyed into his mental state right now.
I will say that with that, you're able to tell that there's no way he can hide it. He fucking hates this bird. Like it's on sight. Like if Yvain looks away for a second, we might have chicken nuggets for dinner. It's where we're at right now. It's just,
Oh, so there's that.
Etienne will just continue to watch Virgil. What's Virgil doing? Is he just kind of like staring off? Like what's
Setting up camp, maybe?
he's set up his portion of camp right now. You see he's working with an arrowhead, like he's kind of building something around an arrowhead.
As Keening's talking about the Beckoners, like they have hope and they've named it Archon. Like I feel like he's still watching Virgil, and as she's kind of going off on that, Etienne will shift where he's standing, and his armor will like be a little bit loud. You cannot rob people of hope. You cannot be upset when they assign it to something. Would it not be better to give them something better to hope for than punish them for having it in the first place?
Not when their hope is a lie.
No hope is a lie. It might be naive and misplaced. That's never a lie.
I almost envy you your naivete.
I can't believe I'm sitting here watching people have a philosophy debate with a fucking bird.
And a haughty one at that. You can't exactly omit the story of what happened to the Archon and expect us to blindly follow your every beaking word. At least Virgil did something, stupid as it may or may not have been.
Sorry for saving your fucking life, Cass.
Shut up, Virgil! Fuck you!
Fuck you! You weren't supposed to be talking to me. Ha
Stupid though
Children.
it may have been, at
My
least he
God.
did something about it instead of just telling us, fuck this lady who existed 1 billion years ago and no longer. The people who are picking up the banner for the Archon have a different idealism line of thinking than she did, apparently. They're just latched on to a figurehead. I can get behind that.
She would have loved them. She loved nothing so much as those who were devoted to her.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't?
And Keening says, I can think of only one. And then she says something in that language that none of you know.
Virgil, you need to tell us what transpired between you two. We've
If you
got
were
6, 7 more days on the road together. We need to be able to trust you, so we just need to know what was said.
You're talking about trusting me, Cass. If it were of consequence to any of you, then I would gladly tell you. I simply offered
you
a
ashamed-
service.
Are you ashamed of your choices?
Of course not.
Then speak them plainly. Don't be Virgil about it.
There's a reason that I am Virgil about the things that I am Virgil about. You play the music, I take the coin purse. There is usefulness in deception, and deception is nothing but the partition of information to those who need to know it.
That's different, because we always tallied up afterwards. Now's
Yes.
the time for tally.
Our profit is your lives.
For now. What happens when we return to these woods?
Then we will continue to have safe passage, and if we do not, then the only one that will suffer is me.
What did they gain by allowing us to leave?
Peace of mind.
That's usually not a good enough currency for people.
If you're me, then it is. You all have your talents. I have my talents too. I will not question the strength of your sword or shield. I will not question your knowledge or your abilities, Vane. And I will not question your charm or your music. In return, I trust that you will all understand that I have a steady aim and a steady hand.
That has not been questioned. Not in the least bit.
Then know that my aim is true, even in this. My priority is to see us returned safely. Nothing more, nothing less.
At the end
The
of the day,
object of your
someone's got to be
searching-
left holding the bag, Virgil. Who are we stabbing in the back at the end of all of this?
Is it us? Or is it someone else?
Cass, you have my word. I would not betray you. As much as I would like to put an arrow in your heart at times, you are still a friend.
Yeah, I'm not questioning that, Virgil. I just want to know whose pair of eyes I need to be staring down at the end of the day when all of this comes to a head. Will I be fighting people who live in the forest in what we were all told was a nightmarescape? Or will I have to stare into the soulless eyes of those gray, shapeless beings that we know back home? I could give a fuck who it is. I just want to know who it is.
We are on course for the mission given to us by the wise. I know not what we will face, but it hasn't changed from yesterday, and it hasn't changed because of the encounter that we had today. Everything is as it was.
But it isn't. I won't push anymore, Virgil. But I want to be clear. Here and now. It has changed. Because you know something that we don't. And it has changed because a deal has been struck that I did not take part in. But I am a part of it nonetheless. It has changed, And while you have my trust, and you'll have my shield and my sword when the time comes, Virgil, it is you that needs to be trusting us. That we can understand and respect the choices you've made. That we can see your logic and see your reason. You've made a choice, and I will respect it. We are here. We made it through without bloodshed, and for that I'm grateful. Make no mistake. But understand that where secrets lie, so too does failure. So too does deceit. And it's not intentional, but it could. What happens to us if something happens to ye? On this road, and we return empty-handed, not knowing. I will not be selling my soul to that bitch back on the road.
You would not need to.
That's not what she was telling me.
The conditions to which we agreed rely simply on me. You are free to walk this forest undisturbed. It is only my hands that are cuffed. Only my ankles that are shackled. I would never make a deal without any of your consent.
I'll leave it at this. I'll trust whatever deal you've made. But you need to remember that I'm not a warrior. I'm not some battle-tested whatever like Etienne or yourself. I'm a storyteller. I collect songs and stories and anecdotes. And if your inability to tell me who I should be on the lookout for causes me to be too slow to react when the time comes, then my blood's on you.
What? I simply cannot understand why I am the target of so many questions when there is but one piece of information that I have not shared with you, while you all prune and coo at this thing, and he points to the bird, who has a bevy, a treasure trove of secrets that they have not told us, that has let us stumble in the dark, moving barely inches when they had the means to make our travel faster, when they had the means to control this automaton and with such power as to demolish someone with but a word. What secrets does this thing have that they have kept from us? No one bothers to ask, but I work to make sure that we move with no bloodshed. And the trial is held. I will not entertain this any further.
You're not wrong. Keening has a lot to answer for, but the reason no one bothers to ask is because she's been a shit since we've known her. So it doesn't feel like a betrayal.
I have always been a shit, Cass! I've been a shit. The first time I saw you, you did not know, and I stole from you, but your music entertained me that day, so I put the gold back. That is who I am, Cass.
Well, you live in the same orphanage as I did, so I knew you took it, but there's not many places you could go with 2 gold.
And I promise you, there's not many places that I can go with the deal that I struck. So you are as safe as if I had lifted 2 coins from you.
Is there anything that we can do to help you with this deal that you have struck? I understand we have a current aversion to whatever deal you may have created between you and that woman, but do you need help?
We simply need carry on as we intended to from the very beginning.
Okay.
Fine. Good enough for me. If what you say is true, then that's all I need. Pray that the situation never arises where I'll need to make a distinction on my own and end up with whatever the hell that was with her hands around my throat. Because if she can heal wounds that perfectly, I assure you, she can unheal them that quickly.
I assure you that I am a liar, but not in this moment.
Etienne will cross over and hold a hand out to Virgil.
If anything, I simply regret missing the chance to see you in combat with the champion. And shakes the hand.
Like a honestly scary grin cuts Etienne's face as he grabs your hand and shakes it. And it looks at you, Virgil. I respect you for making a tough choice, and I thank you for it.
Well, don't get used to it. I don't intend to do it often. Now, we have a way to go, so let us go.
Well, not tonight.
It is pretty late for all of you at this point, yeah.
I'm about
Been walking a long
fucking done.
time.
We are well into third watch. We need to rest.
I suppose I will join you on the third watch if it's all the same to you, eh?
And as a reminder, the watches are the 3 divisions of the day.
Yeah.
So third watch basically means night. It's kind of like first shift, second shift, third shift, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we're talking taking watch for the evening, though, we need 3.
I'll
sets
take the
for
first watch
evening.
for the
Yeah, I don't know what they would call those. Yeah, I suppose there needs to be something.
Guard,
but-
maybe we can say guard.
Yeah, there we
Guard's
go. That's
good.
good. First guard, second guard. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll take first guard then, because if I fall asleep, I'm not waking up.
I can take second guard, no problem.
I'll take third.
You rest, Virgil.
All right, very well.
You've
Cass-
all got. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Cass is gonna start a fire and pull out his brewing kit, and start the same process as he did the last time, pouring things into the pot, boiling them all, and this time he's gonna take some of those dried leaves,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna just throw like a nugget in there of those dried leaves.
Okay. Now, when you say start a fire, there's no wood anywhere around here, so I'm assuming you. Did you bring some with you? Did you stop to gather some during the forest?
I'll have I'll rip some bark off of the tree that Chris is carrying.
He threw that over the cliff. That's
He
gone.
threw it over the cliff. I thought he grabbed
Yeah.
the second tree.
No, he threw it over the cliff, and then
Oh,
it stuck pretty far in.
do we have any kindling in the cot?
Actually, let me check my backpack.
If not, Keenan can send for some. I just need twigs.
There are some trees around. They're a little ways back from the beach.
I just need a
but
couple
there are-
branches, nothing major. It's not like a bonfire. I just need an alchemy fire, a boiling fire.
Keening says, "You need wood."
I do.
She speaks to Chris in that same language, and Chris stomps away. Seems to have a little bit of difficulty on the sand, and he goes up to the nearest tree. It's not a very big tree, so he just kind of
Jesus Christ.
pulls it up, goes over, grabs another one, pulls it up, walks back with both trees right in front of him, and just kind of drops them a little ways from camp.
Right. He'll try to rip off like a branch or two from the tree he's plucked
Mhm.
out of the ground, and he'll just start a small fire.
Keening says something to Chris, and Chris takes the 2 trees and breaks them over his knee and starts breaking them down more. and as though he's like just snapping twigs. Not, he can't like chop firewood this way, but he breaks them down into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Captain America just ripping a log with his two bears. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris's problem is that his hands are too big. He couldn't get into.
Yeah, so he'll start boiling his little potion that he consistently sips from. And he'll start the first guard.
Okay, and you all settle down. The sun is still in the sky. It's well past its zenith and is now clearly on its way down. When Ashura, as the sun is called, reaches a certain point in the sky, that'll be the official beginning of the day of setting. And so the guards will pass throughout the third watch. There's pretty frequent winds coming from the salt lands. They're dry winds, bring the smell of salt. But the three guard sessions pass uneventfully. And if anyone has anything you're going to get up to in the nights, we can, or during the time, we can go over that. Otherwise,
yeah, I would just in the switch between Yvain and Etienne, he would I guess this is their second night together. So Etienne would have stacked his gear and leaned up against it, so he's sitting upright.
mm-hmm.
And Yvain would have seen he would have already been awake when you came over, flipping something like between his fingers, and he just wordlessly nod to you like, "Yep, we're good," as you moved by.
Is he making efforts to conceal it, the thing he's flipping in his hands, or?
I wouldn't say so, no. It's just he's just rolling it between his fingers.
I think Cass would glance at whatever you were fiddling with, without peering over your shoulder or anything. It's as he's passing by, he'll glance at it.
Was he awake at this point? Because this is during the Passover between.
Yeah, this is between Yvain and Etienne, I think, at that point.
Oh, this is this third guard. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so you're asleep.
Yeah, never mind.
He would. Oh, go for it.
Oh, yeah, she would absolutely ask about that, just out of curiosity. What is that for? Is that how you pass the time?
No. He'll hold it up and you'll see that it's a ring, emblazoned with a hawk on it. And he'll just kind of hold it before slipping it back onto a finger. A reminder of a tough choice. One that I had to make.
I see. You live with that choice every day now. Is that how it is?
He looks up at you and the firelight just kind of glows on those red lenses. You could say that.
Is that yours or someone else's?
Hard to say at this point. I hope it's still mine.
Okay.
I don't mean to be confusing.
No. It's fine. We all keep things close to the chest. Not trying to pry, just curious.
You said something once. While we were walking. We all end up the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered that maybe we don't?
Maybe afterwards. That's true. But in this life, in our physical being, currently, everyone that I will tend to within the city literally ends up in the same place. those outside the walls here that we might encounter end up in the same stance, I suppose.
You don't figure that any of them might get stuck along their journey. Trapped, even.
It's possible. Probable, even. I hope not.
I suppose that would be your prerogative, Anna.
Well, it's more of a... It already currently feels like we're a bit stuck. Stuck between whatever came before and what is to come afterwards.
There's always a rock in a hard place. I think that's life. And I think that you'd have some that say that the rock is better, as it's, at least there's place for things to grow, and you'll have others that say, no, the hard place, it's better. See, for myself, I'd rather not be between them at all.
Where would you rather be?
And he'll kind of like stand up with a groan. In a soft bed with a familiar face. And a nice sun in the sky.
I think that's not only admirable, but something that we can all strive for and use as a driving factor.
I can't speak for you, Yvain, but all of this is the wisdoms, the problem, the beckoners. These are problems too big for me. I'll
Is a lot.
settle with finishing my job and finding that soft place to rest my head. Leave the grand ideas. And he nods over to sleeping Virgil. To the ones that have the fire to see him to the end.
And Keening, who has been on your shoulder the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
says to Etienne, "You are a testament to both your lineages. Not a lot of questioners in your history."
Etienne will look at Keening and kind of hold eye contact for a minute. I'd hate to disappoint you, Keening, by asking you a question. So instead, I'll thank you for the honor. It's a small comfort to be recognized, even out here in this desolate place, as one of my own, as it were.
She says, "It wasn't precisely a compliment, but take what comforts you will. I'll not deny you them."
He'd nod. You should get some sleep, Yvain. For tomorrow, we wake up between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I'll try and sleep and not quite think about that narrow passageway between those two things. At least for now.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. Gifts like yours. Did you know This is actually a fun fact. Cat can get out of any hole its head can fit through.
I believe I've tried this before.
You would remember that Etienne was sleeping when you turned into a cat before. And he will move over to the fire and put a little bit of pieces on and go about his watch.
So that'll take us to right before the dawn of the new day. And Virgil, you don't awaken to Chris shrilling the start of the new day as he did yesterday. You wake to a brush of feathers against the side of your face. And you come to see Keening sitting on your chest looking down at you. And she says softly in common, I don't know what bargain you've struck. Know this, whatever damnation you've brought upon yourself, the white worm can't save you. And before you have a chance to respond, she flies away, and Chris shrills very loudly his great big steam whistle shriek to welcome in the new day. And everyone starts rising.
Instead of trying to respond, can I try a sleight of hand for something?
Absolutely.
I just want one feather.
Roll it.
God, no. Oh, my sweet baby Keening.
Wig
no.
snatched.
Would a 21 get it?
Oh yeah, you
Oh.
snatch a feather. You pluck one right out, which means as she's flying away, she kind of shrieks.
If
And
she
then-
looks back, she's just gonna see me tethering it to an arrow. This one's for you.
Well, and as everyone starts to wake up, and to be very clear, as far as you know, only a beckoner should know that title.
Oh yeah, I'm thoroughly pissed. We're not supposed to say that name.
Yep.
I'm
You were never supposed to say the Archon's name to an
Yeah.
unbeliever, and you were supposed to act as if you do not even know the name.
Yeah, I didn't acknowledge that I knew the name, but this is for sure. We have crossed over from I might kill that bird to I'm finna kill that bird.
Well, as the day of setting dawns, as Ashra has begun her slow descent towards the horizon, and as you start packing up camp and the salt lands stretched endless, vast, and barren before you, that's going to be the end of episode 2, which I am taking an executive decision at this moment with the power vested in me by, I guess, me, to officially change the title of the episode to episode 2, The Beloved Host, because it's a better title.
Okay.
And-
All right. Jesus Christ. You gotta make it hard on me.
And perhaps as a fun little teaser of what's to come, episode 3 is called Amid the Salt Shall Bloom.
Ooh, love that. Hell yeah.
Or excuse me, Amid the Salt Shall Blossom. That's important, which you'll
Even
find out.
cooler.
Much better.
But there we go. Yeah, we got arrows posing, not threatening at all.
And that third episode will be in 2 Saturdays from now. So, Josh, do you want me to even call you, because, you tell me. Do you want me to say, Josh, where can they find you so you can say they can't find you anywhere?
I don't know. It's starting to feel like a ritual. Yeah.
Okay,
Don't
all right.
try to find me. You can't find me anywhere. You can find the rest of these wonderful people at the places they're going to tell you now.
Noir.
Huh?
Where?
Who
do
are
people
you? Where can they find you?
You threatening bastard.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
You
you.
Don't you
find
touch
me
my
at-
bird.
You can find me at the range practicing, small game hunting, you know, that kind of thing. Varmints, sparrows. What kind of bird is? What kind of bird is this?
She's been called an ether falcon.
She's a quail.
Oh, falcons. Yeah, I've got to practice getting good. I think I might take ranger levels. Oh, hi everybody. I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as the Noir Enigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. On Saturday mornings, I usually do morning ritual. We're taking a break. We're getting everything ready for the next season. I think. I don't know. Monday, you can find me over on Flurb on Q Times for goodness gracious Ember Squad, and I have a new show coming out with Q Times folks called Beacon, which uses the Alien TTRPG from the guys that make that system. All right, that's me. Bye.
Is that me next? Hi, hello. I am Osara Franco. I play Etienne Durand here on the Reclaimers, and it's a blast. If you like my face and the words I say sometimes, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, all the places at Osara Franco. I do a variety of TTRPG content here on Bright's channel and across several other amazing communities. The next time you can see me doing that thing is bright and squirrely tomorrow morning, as I'm joined by Keegan in the cult classic show Character Study, where we have Ray coming on to build a character in Apocalypse Keys. So come learn more about Ray, come learn more about the system. It'll be a lot of fun. And then in the evening, I will be on Nat 20 as we launch our Spelljammer campaign, which is called Wild Space Awaits, where I'm going to play an absolute asshole, and I'm looking forward to it a whole bunch. Tuesday, you can catch me on Nat 20 for Power Beyond, and just keep an eye out on my Twitter. Oh, the 22nd, I'm running a game of Renegade Racers as a part of the cult on +1 EXP. Keep an eye on my socials to know where I'm going to be next, but I promise it will be fun no matter what. Passing on to somebody else.
Ash, please.
Sure. Hey, I'm Ash. I go by Ash and Rabbit here on Twitch and all over the internet. You can find me here in 2 weeks' time for more Reclaimer's goodness. You can probably find me here on Monday for Ash Mondays with the Dear Bright on this here beautiful channel. Tomorrow, you can find me over on Dat Magic Juice's channel for the continuation of our campaign, Tenements of the Great Rift, a post Princes of the Apocalypse, now fully homebrew campaign. We are rapidly reaching the end of that. It's wild. I think that's all I have going on within the next couple weeks, other than Against the Tides over on Nat 20, a show that I can't even say that I run because it is wholly a collaborative effort with Sarah and Bright as a couple of my players, along with several other wonderful human beings. It's very good. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Hey, Bright.
All right. And if you're here, you already know where to find me. I'll see you all tomorrow for Midbright Mass, where we continue playing Cult of Lamb until we finish that adorable little game. Mondays, again, with Ash for the Ash and Mondays. I will see you at Tides in not... Did we
Next
play Tides?
week.
We played Tides this week.
No, 2
It's
weeks.
not a Tides
Yeah, we played.
week next
Sorry.
week.
Yeah.
2
I
weeks.
wish it
We already
was.
did a tight week. Yeah,
Every
So, the
week
28th.
it's a Tides week is
Every
a Reclaimers
day
week
Tides.
this month. And then you can find me every other Thursday. The only thing that hasn't been mentioned is the every other Thursday on Nat 20. I am in All Hail the Queen. I don't know when the next one is because we didn't have one this week.
I can tell you right now.
Listen.
It is
Oh yeah. You're an admin for that channel and all that stuff.
22nd.
Hell yeah.
So, next week.
Come on the 22nd. We're gonna play a game where I play a frog named Spunk. Anyway, thanks for coming by. We'll see you all next time here. And as always, stay strange. Don't be a stranger. Goodbye.